What's good?
How y'all doing now?
It's both of us up here today. It's about to be on and cracking. So my name is Court Smith, and this is the guy, Nana Kofinti up here. So it's gonna be fun tonight. We're gonna do some pushing. We're gonna do some prodding and some coaxing and some discovery today. Anything you want to say?
Nah, man, I'm ready to get started. I'm excited about some of these subjects you want to initiate.
All right, so let's get it started because I want to get in as much information as we can. Again, this is back to basics. It's another back to basics class. If you ain't figured it out yet, this is an entrepreneurship class. Reason why we talk a lot about you is because you are the entrepreneur, and if you don't fix you, then your entrepreneurship ain't shit. So, and we're gonna keep pushing that agenda so you know. We are our entrepreneurship is a sum total of who we are, and that's why we focus on the us.
So, and before we get started, can I just say real quick? Court, man, great classes. If you guys get a chance, if you haven't watched, those of you at home or those of you who have been around for a week or two, go back and watch. Shit, this cat has been producing art for the last 6 classes. I think it's been a run on. But
thank you, bro.
There's so many basic things that he's introduced that ain't basic. Once you water those seeds, you realize you got some redwood trees on your hands. So today I was at the gym quitting manual mode. Like you guys have no, we passed down slavery principles and Jim Crow principles every day to the next generation because we're an automatic. And you don't realize, it may not that you tell your child, go pick some goddamn cotton, but there's ways that slaves had to think for survival that you currently still use those principles of thought. And if you don't see the difference between automatic and manual, do you realize how we will copy and paste some of the poisonous ways of thinking that was handed down to us from our ancestors who had to fight for their life? And so, there's just so many things you shared, even quiet time, right? Like, you guys know that every day, if I get quiet time or dead time, I'm studying. Whether it's an audio book or if I have to sit and wait somewhere, I'm reading, right? Do you know what the accumulation of that is over years?
Mm-hmm.
And like the things he's been providing for you, the lessons he's been providing, there's so much depth in these lessons. They're very simple, but they're not simple at all. And I would argue that most entrepreneurs don't perform in these areas. And these are common basic areas that are destroying so many different people. I know people right now who even sit in this class, they listen to a lot of these principles, but they don't read about the field they're in. They have no ownership. And you just literally, he's giving you the foundation because all you guys are not doing the same thing, or there's not 4 variations of what people do. There is a plethora, millions of different variations to run a business. But the core principles are pretty much the same. And if you follow these principles, it gives you access to your particular variation. And what's crazy about this is that I think some people, because they can hear you, they're processing what you're saying, and they're going through a process of internal reduction and making it fit their way of thinking. But I need you to go back and listen to those classes and just sit with some of the stuff that Corey's been teaching and what he's continued teaching, because it's a masterpiece. It's an absolute masterpiece. He's taking what we used to do in 3 or 4 books from the last 3 years, and he's literally painting it to give you access. And so I beg of you, trust me, I'm applauding him every day. I'm sharing stories about him at the gym he don't even know about. One of these days he's gonna work at the gym and maybe get that famous clap. but honestly, please go back. And if you think you got it, sit with it. You come to class, ask a question like, is this what you meant? Right? But just, it's way deeper than you guys realize. It's way, way, way deeper. If you just took the last 6 months and never saw us again, it's going to be a gateway to other shit that's way more complex.
Mm-hmm. Appreciate it. So a recap real quick. Last week we talked about entrepreneurship at the end of the day is about numbers. It's a numbers game. All the logos and the designs and the colors and the fruitfulness and the feelings and all those things, that is for us to program them. It's not for us to be programmed by it. We program them, but we don't use it as a program. You know what I'm saying? So on some street shit, right? They say never get high on your own supply. So in entrepreneurship, it's a similar concept. We sell emotions. We don't use them to run our company. So numbers is how we run our company is based on numbers. And that's why it feels so cold when you talk to somebody who's in the game and you ask them for feedback and you're not giving them numbers. And they're like, and you walk away like, that was horrible. It's because you're trying to sell us what you're supposed to be feeding your customers, your target market, your demographic. Numbers. Same thing with that we talked about with you, is that knowing thyself is playing the numbers game with yourself. And the better you are at playing the numbers game with yourself, the better moves you can make. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to talk about that a little bit in the next one.
My father was a retired dope dealer. I ain't talking about like street dope dealer. We're talking about moving kilos. And, when I was a youngster, and I'm so old that Scarface came out when I was a kid. And he said to me, he took me to see Scarface. And he says, hey, son, you're at a decision point in your life. He didn't use that word. But he says, either I can teach you this game or you can be a square out in the outside world. He says, but let me say this to you. It's the same thing. It's just different products. He said, now, I have restrictions. I don't live in public. You don't see me in public. He goes, because that's what my lifestyle demands. He said, and then he gave me some form of advice that's tied to this lesson. He said, son, remember this one lesson. Look at everything through numbers. Everything through numbers. And to this day, if you talk to me, I'm applying numbers to everything you say to me. Because, and then if the numbers don't line up, at this point, you in the suspicion crew, right? You don't make it to the trust crew. You're in full suspicion crew. Because when you listen to the numbers, it cuts through all the charisma, the titles, the heroism, all that stuff is cut right through that stuff. So, same thing. I was taught the same principle.
Yep. Next slide. Next slide. We on. That's the. Can you handle? There you go. This is the slide. So know thyself and change thy rules. So questions a lot about what does know thyself mean, right? Let's get into a little bit more of it. Know thyself. You can take the spirituality out of it. It's just facts. When you know yourself, you know everything. Now you can move accordingly. So if you know, I got one for you. Show of hands, if anybody is allergic to any kind of food. Is anybody allergic to any kind of food? 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, of the people that's allergic to any kind of food, can any of those foods kill you if you ate it? Show of hands. No. Just get sick. Is anybody allergic to any kind of like beast, any kind of bug type thing? Now, if you get bit by that bug, or can it potentially kill you? Okay, so yes, so some of you get sick if you eat the food that you're allergic to, and some of you could possibly die if you got stung by a bee. Now, the first question is, how'd you find out about it? Got stung, right?
I ate it.
You ate it. And once you ate it or got stung, you was like, fuck that, never again. That's knowing one data point about yourself. Now, is it a bee? So if I took you to a honeycomb where they harvested bees and made honey, right? And I was like, hey, let's go, this will be fun. You would instantly tell me no. And then what if I said, well, it's been a long time since you got stung. How do you know that you're still allergic? She said she has no fucks to give to find out, right? It's because that's a hard no. That's a hard line. You know that about yourself. Same with the food. You get sick. You may be out for a couple of days. What is yours, Shabisha?
Cashews.
What happens when you eat cashews?
It's a real bad moment in my life.
When was the last time you had a cashew?
It's been some years.
Let's just try some cashews. It's been years. Your body chemistry may have changed and adjusted. Yeah, I could see the bubble in her head to say, no, motherfucker. But here's the thing. A lot of us handle life and entrepreneurship so loosely, with the same type of devastating effects that could happen to us, but we still move like we're not allergic. When you start become really entrepreneuring, there's strict lines. I don't care if it's not a big deal for you, but that's a no for me. Even when it comes down to where I go kick it, who I associate with, I know that's a weak point for me, so it's not my time to go over there. Like pulling levers to know. You got to know what arm is longer than the other. Are you 2020, 2019? Which year is good, which is not? Like, the more you know about yourself, the more you will seem amazing because you can maneuver. You maneuver in them spaces, and they're like, where's your weaknesses? It may look like you don't got none. It's just you stay away from where your weak points are. Michael Jordan, for a long time, he spent 2 or 3 years in the league until people realized he didn't have a jumper. Then they're like, wait a minute. Let me just let him shoot. And the minute they figured it out, he worked on a jumper and came back next season shooting threes. He like, I know my weaknesses, but you don't. And the minute you do, I'm working on them. But you can't think, well, I'm a great shooter. I'm a great shooter in my mind. In your mind don't do shit. All it does is create delusion. I'll hide it until it's time. Know yourself. In business, know when you know that, man, I get duped in these times, or I get emotional in these moments, or I didn't grow up with a father, so sometimes I have these feminine things that I do that's feminine. So I'm gonna stay away, or I'm gonna get advice or counsel or people. And now you can offset those weaknesses constantly. So know yourself, know yourself, know yourself. My woman, Erica, she's so good at this. She knows she's like a scientist to herself in her mind. And so she'll go to say something and she's like, I'm emotional right now. It's that time of the month, so whatever comes out is gonna come out, but I don't mean it. Like, dope, thank you for the context. Which means you're not allowing your emotional moment to take a step back to let me know and let yourself know I'm just emotional because these chemicals are off balance right now. Like that type of self-awareness, we have to build it as entrepreneurs. We have to. Or what would tend to happen is you play the hindsight game. You play the I fucked up game and I gotta clean it up game. And you gonna play it, but like the more you know yourself. When I first started teaching class, I knew a trend, because I would call him and be like, damn it, I fucked up on this sales call. Right? And we talked through it, and I'm like, yeah, it's a good game. All right, cool, I'm gonna try that. But I started noticing a trend. They were all LA dudes. And so I'm like, what is my thing with LA dudes? Why don't I like LA folk? Like, why don't I like LA dudes like that? And I start paying attention. Oh, because they all name dropping. Every other word is a name drop, trying to get cheaper prices, and they're gonna hook me up with so and so. That's a big person. If I give them hookup, and that shit eats me up, it irritates the shit out of me. So then what I would start doing is I would prepare for it. Take a deep breath. I know dude's gonna name drop. I know like 3 things that's gonna happen. So yeah, cool, yep. Oh, you know this C-list celebrity? That's dope. Cool. You gonna hook me up with the C-list celebrity? That's dope. The price is still the price. Versus what I used to do. Oh, fuck this fucker. I don't give a fuck. Stop calling me. Know yourself. Know yourself. It's like it seems so simple because you live with yourself every day, and it seems like it's not a big deal, but it's so many layers deeper than that. It's so many layers deeper than that. And it's observing your patterns, where you strong at, where you weak. What situations do you fight? What situations do you run? What situations do you freeze? Do you know those? Do you? I know mine like the back of my hand because it's critical. It's critical. There are situations where I'll run in front of a bus to save a kid, and there's a situation, there's a situation where I freeze. Analyze that. Where does that come from? That's why we talk about the competition piece. You got so much work to do on you that once you start understanding the you in you, then you realize, man, I got so much upside right now. But let's talk competition. Because we've taught in this class before that, where we say this may not be a good idea, but on this spectrum, it may be a good idea. That's with a lot of things. That's why he says millions of ways to get there. And in competition, there is no one cut and dry way. If you're competitive and that's your energy and that's how you get to the top and that's how if that's working for you, man, do that shit. Who am I? Do that shit. If it's working, do that shit. Everything that's how you were brought up. Everything is competition. Hey, I'll race you to the car. I'll race you to the this. And your mindset is that, and that's giving you some, an edge over people around you, do it. But if you ever get stuck, or if it ever becomes, you ever get stagnant and stuck, then you might want to try turning that down. I grew up that way, up until my 30s. My competition level of being competitive instead of scale of 1 to 10 was like a 14. Everything, I hate losing. Everything is a competition. I gotta do better. Look at my boy next to me. Yeah, but I'm beating this. I'm beating them. So I couldn't even be genuinely happy for my friends around me because I'm A1 competitor, apex predator. It's a weird way to live. And I was always achieving stuff, but I didn't have no real genuine friends around me because everything was a competition and they could feel it. But I got to be I made my first million like that. So I learned when I started studying other religions, all that stuff. I tapped into Buddhism, and Buddhism is a very, man, fuck that competition shit. You don't even know yourself. Compete against yourself. How about that? You got so much growing to do that. Don't think about the next person. And it's journeys. Everybody has a purpose in their own journey. Life ain't fair, right? So if life's not fair and life is what you make it, pick a goal and a target and go after that. Who gives a fuck what's next to you? They may have picked a different target. So once I latched on to that, the reason why I adopted it is because now I could be happy for my friends who are doing better than me. Man, Court, I just made $1 million. What? Man, that's dope. And he can really feel that I really am happy for him or her. So now the relaxation of my friends around me, and it wasn't no tension in my brain. Now, of course, there's certain moments in time where I can tap back into that. Of course. I met my competitor one time who was doing 5 times better than me in business, or so we think. 5 times better than me. I walked up to him and I was like, yo, you're the owner of that company? Like, yeah, he was a black man. I'm like, oh, I'm juiced. I'm good. Let's take over this shit together. And he was like, I don't give a fuck about that black folk shit. I don't care about black people like that. I'm here to get mines. I was like, what? Like, yeah, man, you care too much. I be seeing all the shit you doing on Instagram. Pfft, I'm out. I'm getting mine. I'm out. You know what I said? I'm coming after you in my mind. In my mind, I'm taking your shit, motherfucker. I'm coming after you. When I set my sights on you, it's bad. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So, but on the course of time, you gotta know yourself, and because one person asked me about competition. If competition is working for you at this stage where you are, go get it, do it. But once you find that there becomes any kind of stagnation, or you look around and your patterns aren't healthy, then you gotta analyze whether it's healthy and turn that shit down. If you in sales, If you're a salesperson, competition can be fire. You know what I'm saying? But if you play sports, you're a teammate, competition like mandatory. But you got to be cautious in business. Next, any questions on that?
You mentioned, hello. You mentioned earlier about having hard lines in business, or hard rules in business. Does that vary based on the business you're in, or is there like a uniform like code of conduct for like 10 commandments for business? Like, what are those like hard lines or rules for business?
Well, I say hard lines for yourself. So having like when you know yourself, see, here's the thing. We're not capable of being able to psychoanalyze everything. It's impossible. There's no amount of books we can read where we'll be that good. So what we do as humans is in times until we either can psychoanalyze it or maybe we never, we implement heuristics based on patterns, our mentors, or things who have worked for others. Heuristics. So we put heuristics in place where we don't have intellect. And that is what can carry us to our goals in the meantime. So until you seen a scientific study about networking and the importance of relationships and all of those things that can be beneficial to your business when you were a kid, and the Bible said, treat thy neighbor as thyself, or love thy neighbor as thyself. If you adopted it, you good. You don't know why. You don't know why the Bible said it, but it was in there and they talk a lot about it. So I'm just going to try it. And now you got a lot of friends and a lot of relationships, and people treat you good. You treat them good. And now your life is full. You didn't know the scientific background. Why? It's just a heuristic you put in place, right? So there's a hard line around that. You don't even know why. But there's certain things also when you know yourself is that if you don't hide and ignore your shadow sides and your dark sides and act like they don't exist, you know where the edge you can get to. Okay, I can go to that edge, but once I cross that shit, I don't know what's gonna happen. So since my stakes is so high and my purpose is strong, I try to stay within those lines. I try to stay within those boxes because out here, I may not have self-control. I know based on the patterns of where I've been and what I've done, like getting stung or eating that cashew. I know the last 5-6 times that I've been out here, I took an L. So now that's the hard line. And with I don't give a fuck about peer pressure. Oh, well, why don't you just, man, miss me with that. Because this is my hard line. And so having hard lines is important for you to stay. Now, you're curious, you want to try stuff, but knowing where your hard lines are will keep you in a space where you can grow. You know what I'm saying? We was talking last week about craps. So I was doing these layovers in Vegas because I was going to LA a lot. So, and I had to go to Vegas a couple of times. I'm like, this is fun, little fun game, craps. So I'm at the crap table and I'm trying these behavioral science rules. But I noticed that the last time I played, I told him I stopped playing. Why you stop playing? Because I started noticing little things about myself. I had these hard rules about how I play. I only play with $200. I go to the ATM, pull out $200, and if I win, I win. If I lose, I lose. But I start winning every time, big. So around the sixth or seventh time, I go to 200 and I lose the 200 quick, and I'm like, Oh, I got time. Shit, I got money. Let me go do another 200.
Mm.
Whoa. You know what just happened? I just went here. And it's little. It's just another 200, but it's big to me. And so that was strike number one. Strike number two is that last time I played, I started having emotion. All the other times, whether I won big or lost, I would be stoic, sitting there. Okay, it's just probabilities, just playing probabilities. Last time I played, I hit big. Oh, I was juiced. I'm thinking, the fuck was that? Dopamine. I got a hit of dopamine in my body. And my brain, my reading brain says, that was dopamine. I'm like, I got dope. And then when I lose, I be mad. Fuck. Strike 2 and 3. So I said, this is my last time playing. Because whether my strategy is good or not, now my emotions are clouded and I'm crossing my rules and my boundaries and my line. I'm out. That help?
Can I say one real quick? It's another deep lesson. Let me just help you guys marry this lesson with something else. Many people sit in this class and they game up. But you game up to analyze the world outside of you. You don't game up to analyze the world inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
So in the end, you have all this knowledge, but your life doesn't look like the knowledge you have. And at some point, as you learn these new things, you should start moving different. You should start moving different because you start to redesign yourself first. And then as you live it, you develop context because you get feedback from the real world. Then later on, you can teach it because from your experience living the knowledge that you've gained. Many of you guys learn this knowledge, focus on the outside world, and never develop it because you never lived it. And so the know thyself, whether you guys know it or not, is actually how you weaponize all the stuff you learn in this class. So he gave you a hell of a turning point. But once again, he made it seem simple again.
Dope. Let's go next slide. He goes into me back to some of the stuff in this book. Next slide. This is what a lot of us don't think about.
Let me read it.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if you make it?
What's the second order thinking of that? Most of us spend our whole life trying to make it. Have you ever thought about that? What happens if you make it? You will be working just as hard to maintain it and to grow it, maybe even harder than to even get to it.
I can personally speak to this because I never in a million years thought I would have the company or the income or the life that I have. And the last 2 years have been insane because my company and my staff have grown. But because I always believed that I could do great things, but I was always like a 2-year max person and then I would jump off ship, right? And so there's almost a feeling of emptiness when you do something that you never thought you could do. And then there's this fear of losing the thing that you never thought you'd have because you don't really know what's next because there was always this end goal objective. So it's been wild, like trying to reposition myself out of the what's next. Like, what do I do now that I've built this thing? And so I can't wait to hear this.
What happens if you make it? What happens if you blow up? What happens if you blow up? What happens if you blow up? Now you're making millions. What happens? What happens? Have you thought about it? Have you thought about your strategy? Have you thought about how you are going to behave and act when that money hits your bank account? Are you going to be shitting on people when you walk by? You going to go to all the haters and people who doubted you and shit on them? Are you going to just be like the Jeffersons, get up out the hood? Like, where are you going to be? What are you going to do? Because I tell you, Money is a magnifier. So you're talking about a dopamine hit. If you do not know how to manage your ego, when that money hits your account, you're going to turn into a monster. Little monster, medium-sized monster. There's going to be monstrous shit because all the good qualities that you possess is going to be magnified. And all the bullshit, the what we call potential toxic negative qualities, they're going to be magnified too. And you have to work just as hard on yourself to emotionally manage the money as you did to get it. Have you ever been around somebody who went from like no money to a lot of money? Positive experiences, they were pretty cool. Good. I need to. Can I hear a couple examples?
It's green. Oh, hit the button.
Hit the button.
I've experienced it and it was not so positive. It goes back to what happens if you make it.
Mm-hmm.
They made it and then took stuff from us to keep making it.
Mm. Mm.
So at that point in time, I was doing music, and the person that I was messing with was doing music for all type of people. And it got to a point where they were signed to someone, and then they kind of left us, but they took all of our stuff, all of the stuff that we did.
Mm.
And now every time I hear a song, I'm thinking, is that something that I did when I was young? Like, because that's what they did in order for them to stay where they were. So my experience with that was not positive at all.
Somebody else?
I had a friend when I was younger, and we used to hang out a lot. And at the time, this person didn't have much money, but I'm not tripping, so I'll pay for stuff. But eventually, this person, I think they got a new job, and they were doing some, illegal things on the side. So they started making a lot more money. But when they started getting a lot more money, they, act like they didn't know somebody and they couldn't pay for stuff. So, they didn't reciprocate what was given to them. So, and then they started acting real weird and distance themselves too. So I was like, no problem,
So I tell you this, it's not their fault. It's not their fault. It ain't their fault. You know why? Because when you get hit with something new, you have to learn. And you have to learn based on there's very few things that can prepare you for that. You just have to learn it. And it's an on-the-job training type of situation. It absolutely is. Now, if you are working on yourself anyway, you're working on your ego, your emotional agility, the stuff we teach in this class, it's a much smoother transition. But this is a class, and the people who are online and outside of this class, they don't got this. So they're going to be thinking they're justified. Because when ego kicks in, survival kicks in, scarcity kicks in, their IQ goes down. So the IQ they used to get the money now is down. And now they're paranoid about who they can trust, who they can't trust. The dopamine hits in their head that they can buy anything they want. They worked hard for this. And the law of reciprocation in their brain about who they're going to pay back, it's something that you have to work through. Not everybody can do it. It's tough. When I hit my first million, not all y'all would be like, man, fuck Courtney. You would have been. I was a cocky motherfucker. Can't tell me shit. What? The retarded class to millionaire? Man, you can't tell me nothing. I'm at Mingles with the big chain. I'm at Oak Tree standing on the couch.
Not Mingo.
I'm at Oak
Yes.
Tree standing on the couch with the big chain. with tyranny and all my other partners. What? I lost my mind. I lost my mind. No, you don't. Right? Cocky. But guess what? You know what happens? What you use to get there, if you're not using it to grow and maintain it, what typically happens? Guess what happened? Then I was like, teacher, will you teach me? Will you teach me? I'm humble now. Learn your lesson. So it's trial and error in these, because who around us in our community plays with that kind of money to put their hand on your shoulders and be like, hey, be careful, young boy. Be careful. We do here, and we're doing it now. But think about that sometimes. What happens if you make it? You can't judge all the people that you knew, especially if they was black, who came up into some money and blew up, and then they forgot the hood or they this or that, because they have absolutely no reference. They have to be taught, and life has to teach them over years. But this class, you're gonna prepare for it. And ego is your biggest threat to, once you make it, stay low. Stay low to the ground. Stay humble. I don't care how much it is. Stay low. Stay humble. Doesn't mean that you have to put certain things in place. Maybe you can't be as accessible as you were. Maybe there's certain things that you have to do from a priming perspective, or just to situate your business, but you stay low. And you stay low by having somebody ahead of you and somebody below you, somebody who could check you at all times, somebody who could check you at all times and take you back to reality and truth. Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. What? Yeah, it's all right. Because look, here's all the holes. Go plug these holes up. I see this hole, that hole, that hole. Oh, shit. Constantly. Now, when you get money, it's easy to get yes people around you. Easy. The more money and more power you get, the less people disagree with you. And if you look around and you got nobody disagreeing with you, dangerous. Dangerous. If somebody attacks your idea and you get tight, dangerous. So think about that sometimes. What will happen if you make it? Ego is the Enemy book talks about that. And I love that part, because it hit me so hard, because I remember who I was.
Let me add. I'm gonna show you. Hey, so you know, it's so funny. I didn't write this stuff down, but these are things like the things you're teaching today. I was like, I would like to introduce to as a basic. So let me give you guys, based upon probability rules, how dope what he just taught. Okay. We don't notice equally luck and bad occurrences are the same thing, just opposite ends of the stick. They're things you don't control, but it can happen to you at any moment. When luck happens, we don't give it the same focus as when something bad happens. So something bad happens, like, oh, I can't believe this shit's happening, or man, sometimes shit goes bad. But same thing with luck. It's the same way. So based upon probability rules, quite often success could be a large combination of luck and skills. Sometimes even more luck than skills. But it's also proven the same thing that launched you really quick and the same thing can take you down really quick, right? So the rule is, here's a basic rule of probability. When you become successful, become kind. Because the relationships you get from your success is the same relationships you're going to need to use to get back to that position. But if you get in that space and you get this arrogance of assumption that you deserve to be here because you're that some kind of person, because the way our brain works is we can't see luck or skill in foresight, we see it in hindsight. It's not possible. So once you get there, you might think when you're there, damn, look at the shit I've been doing really, really well. So this is what I deserve. And then you walk around like, this is what I deserve. You got this unnecessary, exaggerated swagger, and you're shitting on everybody around you. Because like, I don't fuck with broke ass attitudes. Like you just start making everything broke ass, right? And so, I went through a little bit of that. So, so as you define as everybody you disagree with broke ass as the introduction of their definition, and you start to move with that swagger, you don't realize that you're actually in a hype cycle or a luck cycle. So when you fall down out of that luck space, and the luck cycle can run 5-10 years, right? After you collapse because you really sustain that position because of a whole bunch of collaborated luck, because as you gain momentum, you have access to greater forms of luck. Then when that shit drops off, you had an opportunity to build so many smart relationships and rebrand yourself in such dope ass ways, but you blew it all with posturing. So when you fall, you don't just fall. You fall with no rope, no ladder. And so the rule of success is as you gain success in anything you do, be kind.
Mm-hmm. That's it. Do good. When you get rich, you can do great. Next slide.
Oh shit.
Avoid.
Before you say something, you know I ain't been saying anything because he takes these messages places I don't expect him to go. So I can't wait to get to Boys in the Hood. So I got my own like desire to want to hear what he's coming from. So just know that y'all not the only students today. I can't wait to get to Boys in the Hood. I want to see what the fuck he's gonna do with this. But go ahead.
Avoid performing for an imaginary audience. According to psychologist David Elkind, adolescence is marked by a phenomenon known as the imaginary audience. You're convinced your every move is being watched by the rest of the world.
Okay, let's stop here. Do we have any kind of do we feeling this? You agree with this? Okay. Is there a tinge of you that agrees and understands that this is a thing? Okay, let's keep going.
Adults suffer from this too. We are susceptible to these obsessions of the mind. Our imagination is dangerous when it runs wild. Live in the present. This takes courage. It's uncomfortable because there's no one to perform for, just work to be done and lessons to be learned.
Look, ouch. The truth is, nobody really gives a fuck about what you're doing. They don't. We think we being watched, or there's some kind of stage we performing on, or something we got to prove, or our followers, or you don't have followers.
Can you say it one more time?
None of us have followers. You don't have followers.
Write that down. Somebody, hey, could you take that online? You don't have followers.
You
That's
don't.
hella powerful.
I hate Josh. I really do, and love him at the same time.
That guy. The wordplay here is remember, you sell emotions to them, you don't take it yourself. They're selling you that game, making you think you have followers and that they care that hard about what you're doing in life. They don't. Look, when you put your head down, the reason why there are extremes to this on the other end is for the people, when you put your head down and you master something, that's what people are fascinated by. Hey guys, okay, today we're going to do a get dressed with me. We're going to do a this with me. Nobody really cares. And if you're a woman, you know what we doing. We don't give a fuck about that outfit. It's sexualized. And a lot of times, even in those situations, we think that people really care about the topics, the subjects, the education, whatever fitness thing you got going on. We don't give a shit about your fitness. We're looking at it's a sexualization of you because of the world we live in. That is the truth. That is the truth. And here it's harsh, but we
Keep it going, bro. I love this.
We selling it. We're not taking it. So I'm giving you the truth. If you beautiful and you have smoothie products you want to sell and all this stuff that you assume that people are interested in, you got to keep it real with yourself and realize, why are people coming? Why are people buying? Now, it doesn't mean you got to change, but at least you know thyself. Oh, I know what's going on. I got 14 views when I wore that full suit from top to bottom, but I got 14,000 when I wore that bikini. I know what's going on. And I can make a conscious choice to keep selling or do what but you got to know yourself. And know that nobody and our followers, we're in a society where people are looking to get high. So they want to get high off fear. They want to get high off aspirations. They want to get high off sexuality. And then there's some people, smaller portion, who want to get high off knowledge and higher learning. That's it. Boil it down. You're selling fear. You're selling sex. You're selling aspiration, or you're selling knowledge. But you don't got followers.
Can we write that down 1,000 times? Make sure everybody take notes. I don't think you guys understand what he's. That's just. Go ahead, bro. It's amazing. I might write that as a theme on my website.
We don't got followers. We don't got no followers.
Ain't nobody following you.
And this goes back to value and worth. It goes back to value and worth. I'm gonna get you. We a lot of times we understand our worth, but we don't know our value. And that misunderstanding is what creates this. Is what creates this. We think we performing for an imaginary audience that ain't there. Question.
Hello. Have you ever heard of the statement where they say, act as if someone is always watching you? You ever heard of that before? Okay. This is something I heard like a long time ago. And this pertains to the subject of integrity or always being on point. So say like you're holding yourself accountable. So don't act like, behind closed doors who you really are, because you're going to do things that you wouldn't do in public. So this is something that someone has said to me before, is like, act as if someone is always watching you. So therefore, you don't do things you wouldn't do in public or you'd be ashamed of. That was just something I wanted to say, because when you were saying you don't have an audience, you have no followers, but I always think like, if someone's watching me, let me make sure I'm not stepping out of the line, I'm not disrespecting anybody, or I'm not disrespecting myself or something like that.
Yeah. So first thing to that is, you said a key word: integrity. Integrity. First two words of integrity is in, right? So your integrity has to come from inside you. If you live your life based on just fear of somebody watching you from the outside, then you're going to break and bust eventually anyway. Because my question to you is, are there still things you do behind closed doors that nobody see? Of course. Of course. We all got that. So it's not like that works. Don't work. You still do things behind, because that's called our shadow sides and our dark sides. That's part of us being human. That makes us fun. Make this shit fun. You know what I'm saying? But if you got integrity, you always gonna do your best to show up the best you can. Be honest with yourself. Treat people good. Like you're gonna know the rules about how to be a good human. Like, you know what I'm saying? But you got shadow sides. But the detrimental side of that is if you're always keeping up airs and putting on a front for other people, it detracts from you doing the work. I don't give a fuck. So there's stages in life that you can't give a fuck what people think because you look raggedy. Yeah, I look raggedy, but I'm a little bit better than I was yesterday. There's stages of life. I don't know if anybody you've been through some shit, but like there's rough times. There's crashes and burns. There's times when I ain't got no car or I got the EBT card in my wallet. And if I'm trying to front like people watching, it detracts from the speed in which I can come back up faster. Fuck that. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I'm walking. Hey, I say, hey, what's up? Because it ain't gonna be for long. So there's downsides to that. I don't care. Like when you get to a part where you don't care what people think about you as long as you know you are improving, that's stage one. Now, once you build your business, you have to prime the market a certain way. And as an entrepreneur, you have to prime the market a certain way. But that comes from your integrity. And most of that is just emotional agility. So there's a saying, paint the side of the fence that nobody sees because you know you did it. And that comes from integrity. You know what I mean?
Court, earlier you said that comes back to value and worth. So there's a question online. Can you just reiterate the difference between the two?
If we're in Vegas right now, it's 124 degrees outside, and I offered you a $15,000 Louis Vuitton mink coat and told you to wear it, would you wear it?
No.
Hell no. But it's worth $15,000. But if I gave you that coat and I had an ice cold bottle of water to trade you for the coat and you were dying of thirst, would you trade me? Probably. That's value. That's the difference. So when you know your value, when you know value and worth, then you realize that value it has to be used interchangeably and a lot of times more, because value is in the present moment. How much would you give for me right now?
It's still my favorite phrase of all time. I'll leave it up. I'm gonna leave that up. I get deep in a minute, but this is great.
You get the difference? Value and worth? It's value and worth. That's the, as an entrepreneur, you gotta know that game. I just did a Denzel finger. As an entrepreneur, you gotta know value, because that's what makes a great person a great salesperson. Because you can frame, prime, anchor, in value. You just create the value right there on the spot. Ooh, worth. We all know our worth. That ain't like, okay. There's people who could chop your body parts up and sell them for whatever. Right? That's worth. Your kidney's worth this worth that. But your value is what how can I exchange value with you to where I have something to give you that you like, ooh, I thank you, I needed this.
Tennille, can you give me a T-shirt or see if you can get a single sweater printed with "No one is following you"? Then put Court Smith about. I'm not even lying. See this? Well, yeah, thank you, because I need to get one of those. I'm stuck there because it's the best fucking phrase of the week. No one following you. I got 5,000. No one's following you. Like it just that's just so. Yeah. Pause. Listen. so listen. Let's see if it's keeping.
He said pause so fast.
Let me pull Javon's response back, because I can almost ride this for the rest of class. But no, you can't. I didn't say what it is. I can ride, so don't you try it. So okay. So here's the thing. Peep this. when you said, I love this that much. I love this. I'm not even. I really love this. I'm really gonna rock this shirt, and I promise I might even go to a formal event with a suit on and a T-shirt that says "No one is following you." So, here's the thing. When you said act like as if people tell you to act like somebody's always watching you, you gotta pull that apart. Okay. Keyword is act. The problem is you act too long, you start believing. When people are on social media, they believe that shit's real for them because really they're suffering from loneliness. And so the act turns into a subsidy for their loneliness, right? 2, protecting your brand, building a brand, meaning how you show up at all times, is a separate concept from thinking make-believe friends exist. Right? That's 2 different worlds. I remember when back in MySpace when the liking type thing and friends thing started happening. I know people who brag, I got 5,000 friends. It's not possible. It's not even possible. If I ask you, all right, I'm gonna take all those names down. All right, name 100 of them. You're fucked. You don't remember, so they're not your friend. Cut it out, right? But your brain starts to get these dopamine hits like they are your friend. And you start to move in this world, and then when you turn on the computer, you're going to hang out at the community barbecue. You don't realize you're doing that, but you're online. Hey, let me go see what everybody's doing so I can check in with everybody. You're not. If you really want to check in with somebody, go check in with somebody. But the problem with that is that what he's doing is, I talked about this before we went online. Okay, if I told you, do you think we will ever bring back burning witches? Do you think that would ever come back? You're living in it right now. Okay. What is burning witches? It's when mob behavior starts to dictate moral decisions without critical thought. There's no leadership. The leaders who do rise from it are really just mob leaders, not people who are trying to critically analyze where we're going. Social justice. Who's the leader of social justice? There is none. It's a mob behavior. How do they burn the witches? They cancel you. Right? Well, how do you get to the point that you become a participant in mob behavior? No one's following you, G. What everybody's saying, that shit ain't real. This is all, when you go online, it's to make believe reality of the mob culture. Black Twitter. You mean black mob? You get where I'm going with this? Like, we already know that when you go to court, you don't want to be judged by the public because the public is going to have a skewed opinion based on their mob opinion. Social justice is people who seeing legitimate concerns, but their methodology all is trash because it's driven by mob decision making. There's a lot of copy and pasting, all copy and pasting, sad stories, copy and pasting. And then you launch these attack on people. Do you know that everybody in this room at some point is going to think something racist, sexist, homophobic, be an asshole, be mean, be evil, even say some satanic shit for a second in their brain? There's a time, you know that there's a lot of things that human beings do every day that extinguishes itself because it just won't fit. It just doesn't fit, right? But when you get to a point that you make every time you have a temporary emotional space punishable to the point that you lose your career and your social value, you understand how insane, how we're bringing back the witch hunt? You understand like how the witch, in Europe, when they were burning people for being witches, they were burning women, men, and babies. If I went and said Kaja baby was doing, I went into a room and the room was glowing, they're going to come to Kaja and say, oh, sorry, we got to kill your child. Right? That's what mob culture does. And so the origin and the seed of that idea is you start believing that the online culture is real. And that is the beginning of skewing all. You have no idea. Hold on. Remember I talked about we all can't have the same desires? Like our desires got us fucked up, right, last week? A lot of your desires are skewed. I'm going to give you the secret to happiness. Fucking simple as fuck. A little more simple, but some simplicity there. A lot of your happiness comes from your poor framing of situations you're in and your poor expectations of how things are supposed to work. So what I mean by this, let me make it really simple. Say you go to somebody's house for the first date and you put on your finest suit, you wash your car. This is all the same day. Wash your car. You go pick up a nice gift, whatever gift you want to do. This is your first date. And you set a reservation at a restaurant. And you get there, and your brain's like, it should be like this. And she's going to get there. She's going to be impressed. I'm going to do this, wine, dine. And then, it might get a kiss. I might come back tomorrow. Who knows what happened, right? And you get there, and the person's in jeans and T-shirt. Say, oh, shit, okay, I'm getting ready. Your brain doesn't run to the first thought, which is, damn, what is this person going through? And it could just be that when I'm nervous, I get bubble guts and I start to procrastinate because I'm just nervous and I don't know how to handle this moment. So I'm running late because I'm really nervous because I'm so excited about going out with you as well. But instead, you frame a story in your head you start from the negative frame, which is, oh, she don't respect my time. She don't realize all the shit I did. She probably don't even like me. This is some fucked up shit. Now you sitting on the couch with a fucking attitude about to destroy the whole fucking day, and you never asked her, hey, what happened? Never did. Most of life and most of business and most of everything is coming from this false frame of this is the way life should be, and it doesn't go this way. This is what it means to me. And you continue to frame this story that creates so much weight of life to the point that life feels like you're just an edge away from suicide. Because you barely can hold on because this shit's so fucked up when it's really your framing got the game fucked up. If you change all these scenarios, so my mentor, this is shit this is the most impressive thing my mentors ever did to me. I used to watch him do. We'd be somewhere and he'd be like, oh man, IRS just called, told me I owed him $75,000. And he will, but you know what? And he'd just flip it to the other side. And I'm like, how the fuck did you just turn that into opportunity? Are you like, oh, this house about to crash, but I can just flip it and this is a solution. You're like, how the fuck you just do that? He framed everything. And what it did is it made him, okay, this business shit ain't like TV. This is where I'm going. I'm going to come back to this television. It's not fucking television. Television sells you this motherfucking lie. How life works. It shows you the wrong rhythm. It sells you the wrong expectation. It sells you toxic ass, fake ass relationships. It tells you a myopia of how the world works. Then you go on social media and everybody's acting like that world's real by selling it back to you again. So you're getting sandwiched between two lies. Then you say, they're following me. So I'm following them. They're teaching me these ideas, so I'm listening to them. So now life should be like this. Now I have mental health problems because I'm fucked up because it is not going the way it's supposed to be when none of this shit was ever supposed to be like that. And so you're really fucked up in this two make-believe world that's sandwiching you, and you think you got followers and people like your fucking opinion and your ideas matter. So now you listen to their dumbass ideas and opinion when everybody's playing fucking roles. Nobody's honest. And so that's why when I heard this shit, I'm like, this is so much fire. Because if you just start from the seed he gave you, once again, like I said, when you water his fucking seeds, you get a redwood tree. You're like, I thought this was supposed to be a plant. This motherfucker's bigger than my house. Yes, it's bigger than your mental house. No one is fucking with you like that online. No one gives a shit about it. I had a partner, motherfucker told me, cool partner. You know I use motherfucker because you know me. I'm a little different than everybody else, but I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, he says, yeah, man, I'm about to go sell some products in a different city. I said, cool. He goes, but I don't know a lot of people there. So what the fuck is that gonna do anything? Fuck you mean you don't know nobody there? What the fuck this game is about, right? Your over-dependency on like you, okay, when you're in this business world, it ain't about people liking what you like, doing what you're doing, being part of your family, supporting you, people believing you, people feeling you. None of that shit. You got to create a value offer that continues to adjust to customer needs. That's the end of the fucking conversation. Fuck all that little soft shit you talking. All that, what it should be, and people should support you. If somebody come and drink your drink and be like, and then throw that shit on the floor right in front of you, and it keeps happening, your shit sucks. Stop talking about, but at least my family like it. No one is following you. Even though auntie be like, oh, I'm so proud of you, Niecy. Oh my God, do your thing. Nephew, I always knew you was gonna be somebody. When I picked you up from jail, I knew you was gonna be someone. On everything I'm motherfucking on. This concept is so motherfucking powerful. No one is following you. And if you don't get out of this motherfucking illusion. Now, here's a simple solution. So some of y'all gonna hear us, and then now you're gonna go home and tell everybody in your family no one's following you, but then you're gonna get on Facebook tonight and spend 3 hours because you think somebody talking to you. All right, cool. Let me keep it 100 for you. Grab this book called Sapiens. Sapiens. Those of you who haven't read it, go read that motherfucker. It's gonna make life look totally different to you. Then, as you read Sapiens, take any one of these 3 books by Sebastian Junger, Junger. Read either Freedom, War, or Tribe. Just read, and these are fun books to read. Like you can put them in audiobooks and you ain't gonna be able to put it down. You'll be telling people, shh. You're gonna be at a party, shh. What the fuck you got the headphones at a party for? I'm listening to some shh. So and why you want to read these books? They're not necessarily traditional business books. They're fucking grounding books. You're gonna see what the real human life looks like. So Sebastian Junger, Freedom Junger, Junger, Sebastian Junger, either Freedom, Tribe, or War, and the book Sapiens, right? By Yuval, I can't think of Yuval's name.
Yuval Noah Harari.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
Freedom has a new epilogue too. That's the shit. They just dropped a new version.
Who did?
Freedom.
The book Freedom?
It's got a new epilogue. They just dropped it 4th of July.
Oh, fire. The reason I'm getting you to read these books, because you got to cross-train to be in business. You just don't read business books. It's going to ground you, and then you'll realize how bad television and social media really, really is. Because what you're looking at life, you're looking to your lenses that you look at life through, because you can't see everybody. The lenses is being created every day by your brain and by others. And if you think you can see the world, you can't. If I tell you right now, go to the highest building in Oakland and tell me if you can see New York. Fuck no. So that's how many people you can see. So you can't see nobody. So in the end, everybody's building lenses for you. And so you need books like this to say, oh, this is who we are. Mm-hmm. This is where we come from. This is how we really move. If you don't understand human nature and if you're on social media, you're watching TV, especially this new generation, you fucked, man. You fucked. I'm back.
Yeah.
Use my signage. Really.
Fire.
Core Smith. Put his name underneath that if you make the sweatshirt too.
Next slide. You ready? The Truth Game, Part 2. All right. For those of you who weren't here, we have a truth game that we've been playing. It's kind of a variation of the hot seat. So I play. What I'd like to do is just bring the original hot seat creator up here so we can go after it together. And the truth game is really helping you know thyself better, so you can see the difference between the stories you tell in your head, and depending on how long you told them, how hard you believe them versus the actual truth. And once you dislodge those, then you'll be able to see like where your stories begin and your realities take over. And this is the most beautiful game. Now, when you get raw, your stories and truth are pretty damn close. And that's when you cold. That's when you hard to stop. And so that's what we're trying to get us all to be in this class. So if I say on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you? And you're close to being right, you're close to being true to where you are, it's a cold game, because now you know shit. In order to be, where I learned this one from was where he was a Major League Baseball player. And he said, on a scale of 1 to 10, how good you have to be to beat Doc Gooden. And he's like, I got to be an 8. Well, how good are you now? I'm a 6. Shit. Well, we got to make up them 2 points. If we don't make up them 2 points, so when you start getting accurate, and you're just bridging the gap. As you start getting more and more accurate, you become hard to beat. So we love you. This comes from a loving place. But he's better than me at this game. So that's why I wanted him up here. And so just know it's coming from a loving place, and you also get to ask questions. So as a group, we're coming through an understanding. So I want you to take notes at the beginning stages of this when whoever's doing it is talking. Oh no, you're doing it today. So I want you to take notes at the very beginning so that you have the notes of what was said, and then we all ask questions. Okay? All right. Let's rock and roll.
All right, let's do this.
Hi.
Hi, Court.
Welcome. Welcome to the Truth Game.
Thanks.
Why don't you state your name and let everybody know what you do?
My name is Kaja Elliott. And
That's a dope ass name.
Thank you. And I started K in the Bay Curated Events, which is a company that creates culinary events to facilitate community around food.
K in the Bay. So you guys write that stuff down. K in the Bay. How long have you been doing K in the Bay?
July made 1 year.
Tell us some wins, some good things. What's happened thus far?
So I have been able to event over event increase my percentages of ticket sales. I started at 33% ticket sales for my first ticketed event, and the most recent one I was able to sell 73% capacity. The last event I had was the first where I did not know 90% of the ticket purchasers. They were not in my immediate demographic. The feedback survey yielded some feedback, but overall positive results. And a lot of chefs have reached out to me asking to partner for future events. So I feel that from a branding perspective, it is gaining good ground currently.
How'd you get into this work?
I just organically was moving around in the food space in the Bay Area because that's just what I like to do. And I started to do it enough that people started to notice and use what I was just doing on my own as a repository of information about the culinary community in the Bay. And then in talking about it with a friend, it became apparent that there was a potential business opportunity in doing some formal activity around it.
So this a passion of yours?
It is.
Have you always been interested in this work? Is this what you do before this?
I have always been interested in it. I think the reason that I was able to move on it is because this is what I would be doing on any given day anyway. So it really was not a stretch from something that was just happening organically. It just was understanding how I could bring community around with it and perhaps monetize it.
When you say percentages, can you tie some numbers to that? What was your revenues on those percentages?
So events 1 and 2 was a net loss. Event 3 was the first event.
Net loss of how much?
Well, event 1 wasn't ticketed, so that was a complete expenditure. Event 2, I took a net loss.
I need some numbers.
Okay, so event 1 was a $5,000 expenditure.
Okay.
Event 2 was a ticketed event where I took a $450 loss.
Okay.
Event 3, I made $400. Event 4, I broke even. Event 5, which is the most recent event I just did, I took a $1,650 loss. So I'm at the place now where I'm almost ready, despite the fact that chefs are not asking to partner and people are asking at the conclusion of an event, when are you doing the next one? I don't know if I really am jumping up to do another one, because with the amount of time, effort, planning, and execution, it just doesn't feel good anymore to get to the end of this and not really have anything to show for it. It almost feels like playing entrepreneur and not really being one.
So, simple question when you first start a business. Who makes the most in this space? Most you've seen people making this space?
I don't know what they're making, but I've seen chefs doing this for themselves without partnering with anyone, and I've seen them sell out very quickly.
Yeah, but that if you don't know the profit margin, then you're not you can't. That tells me nothing. Like, you can have a room full of people and be broke. So,
Correct.
Have you ever collaborated with somebody who's already doing it that's making a profit that can give you some insights on the subtleties that can shift your costs?
No. I've been partnering laterally to date.
Why? Okay, so let me ask again, and I need you to dig a little deeper. Why did you choose to do this again and call it a business?
I don't really like calling it a business, Nana. I refer to it often as an endeavor because until you can consistently earn something off of it, this is not a business.
Then why are you doing it?
Because I feel it has the potential to be one, but I'm aware of the fact I don't know how to structure this properly.
Yeah, okay, but here's the thing in business. There's this ancient scholar that I'm real close to. He says, always fuck your feelings. No, famous phrase. Because your feelings in business, like it's the most disappointing.
Why you say ancient scholar though?
I'm older now. I don't want to make this about me. I'm trying to turn my ego down. But the thing is that your feelings get knocked around all the time in business. It just does. It just does. It just does. You really got to have a bigger picture of where you're going, and you got to have clarity on why you're going there. Because I've seen too many great kings and queens, and I use that phrase in a colloquial way. I've seen a lot of great kings and queens fall by the wayside because their feelings dictated their business. And remember we said look at everything through numbers? Anything you say you want to do, your first investigation is the numbers. Without the numbers, the worst thing I can ever do to provide you advice is how to go deeper into the hole, right? Like, can I tell you about how to run an event more? But because usually when I think about your type of events, it's to sales to help you brand something else that where the cash cow sits. It is not usually the cash cow. And the reason for that is because you have space limitations. You need actual bodies in the room sitting. So that means like, unless you have a full Coliseum and you're gonna pick out Coliseums, I don't even look at the NBA, right? The NBA makes most of its money from television. Right? The seats don't mean shit to them. Because that's a glass ceiling that means that if we go back to if their maximum income comes from glass ceiling, people sitting in the seats, there's expenses that go along with that. Think about just make it simple. Think about your electrical bill, right? Think about all the taxes, insurances, and costs that are hidden fees. And because if you open a big ass Coliseum, you're gonna bring all these people in, you ain't getting away with no insurance of $200 a month, right? Then think about all the other hidden costs of services you need to make sure that you herd all these people through a group of rules and structure and it works. Think about the cost of keeping all these the bathrooms working and all those type of things, right? That's coming out of your costs, including with all that kind of stuff, right? So when you start looking at all the overhead and hidden invisible costs, right? It doesn't, and you have a limitation on how far you can go, then you have to have something that creates a commodity that doesn't require people to have to sit in that space. So when you get television advertising money, now each team is getting $1 billion checks as opposed to whatever this check is here. And so what I'm saying to you is that I don't usually event type businesses. I'm trying to think of which ones do really well. Like Ferns is pretty tight, but even Ferns has a limitation, and Ferns is already thinking about how can she branch her business off. She's not looking at that business as the end all. So if you have if you're looking at how to use that event to monetize and brand yourself for something else, I told this to the white party guys when they used to do the big white parties in Oakland, and they used to do all the time. And you know how much they made a piece at their biggest? So Preservation, yeah, I used to tell the story. In Preservation Park, where they had the big ass white party, the most they walked away individually was $2,000. That's all those people, because as the costs went up and the regulations went up that went along with it, cost of security, all these different things, that all of a sudden it was $2,000 a person. But they would work for 3 months intensely to throw that party. So for that 3 months, they were making like $5, $7 an hour. I don't understand what's the value of me even looking at that. So now, what I suggest to them is, okay, cool, but where can you use the brand you're developing to move another product? And if you can't clearly make that branch or that connection, I'm not sure there's anything to tell you besides run.
I agree with that 1,000% because I'm at that exact point where I'm like, okay, this has gotten enough brand attention, if you will, that people are asking me for other things. I could transmute that to food writing. People have started to reach out to me for consulting assistance on partnering with culinary talent in the Bay for pop-ups for their business, et cetera. So there's an ability for me to make this something different, but I feel not completely clear on, especially with what you put on there, you don't have followers, how to best approach the marketing and the branding to get off of events and go down a more profitable road.
And
Yeah.
events could make money, but you're gonna have to think about it. The cozy sitting in a room, like say this every seat in this room was full and we had more chairs. This is no money for me. There's no money. But let's say there's artists right now who make their living traveling on the road performing. So there's money out there, but you're gonna have to think on a grander scale and bigger production and like Fashion Square, right? She used that to build such rich relationships that she was able to do other things. And then she did the events, she can get such high sponsorship. Her events yield her way more money and then allows her to do other events that's part of her brand that now she's selling her brand to other people to have these different events. So like the shelves are coming underneath your brand. And now you're like having 4 nights in different cities. And at the end of the night, just one night is 25, 30, 40, 50,000. Okay, now we're in a conversation. I'm like, okay, I'm hearing you. But the model you have right now, here's the thing. If you just call it testing and you're trying to learn the industry, but I would suggest to you, try to volunteer for somebody who's already performing in this space. They don't have to be at the top tier. That will save you a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And it will accelerate your learning. And you can, and especially because you don't have the pressure on you, you have more observation room to see things go, okay, that does not work. Then every once in a while, go back and test your ideas. And then when you have a model you're ready to launch, then explode that model to a larger size. But you have to think about, but whatever business, this is to everybody. If you ever think about a business, map the numbers. And if you say that salary right there I can live with and I can make it using enough, I can live with that salary for 10 years. In that 10 years, I can make enough investments where if this business goes away, my investments alone can carry me away through this life. If you don't see that pathway, pause and just do some more work. It doesn't mean that you have a bad idea. It just means you need more work.
Questions from the audience?
There's some online. From online, when you say that there are lots of chefs who have reached out, can you quantify that?
Yeah, so I've had 3 after the last event reach out to me, like directly through Instagram, and then I had 1 reach out to me just recently at an event I attended, and then this week I had the person reach out to me because they're looking for pop-up vendors for their place of business, and they wanted consulting assistance with identifying a couple of food vendors that would fit the bill.
And then there's a second question, which is, have you considered pivoting into weddings?
Yeah, before you do that, hold on a second. The word chefs, for everybody, don't mean shit. Let me be very clear. All chefs ain't chefs. Mm. All chefs don't get paid, and all chefs are on the same level. Like psychologists. All psychologists are not great. All doctors are not great, right? So let's not use the word chef and then think of the top chef we think of. So even when she's reached out by 3 chefs, it could be furthering her delusion that she has a value offer because the people who reach out to her that have a title. If she worked with those 3, which I'm trying to save her some money, the way she can save herself some money is investigate those chefs' performances before she's interacting with them, look at their reputations, their brand, and what they have to bring. Now, the 3 chefs that reached out to her are almost like celebrity chefs, even local celebrity chefs. That's a different conversation, right? But when they say with this chef, we're trying and we want to collaborate with you for these different things, the proof is in the pudding. Once you start doing it, you realize, oh my God, these people are trash. Or I don't even want to do this shit, right? And so there's a reason sometimes some people are not successful. And you got to always accept that. And you just got to figure out what that reason is. Is it because you're new to the game, or is it because you got these flaws that will reveal itself under pressure? And so 3 chefs reaching out to her, to my ears, means it's still 0. I'm still at 0. I'm at 0 when I can see light at the end of the tunnel. Like, oh, I need to go that way. Now I can even deal with the loss of cost because I know where I'm going. But if I don't see any light and everything around me is just you have no followers, like everybody's doing that following thing, then I realize that's all a distortion and it means nothing to me.
Quick question. So you said that your last event you had 73% who bought tickets.
73% of the capacity was sold.
70%, but you still took a loss
I still took a loss because
of $1,400.
$1,650.
$1,650. Okay. So have you analyzed why that is? Why it was more capacity than the last event, but you made a profit? In this event, you had more capacity, but you took a loss.
Yes.
And what was that?
The venue, I'm finding that the venue cost is approximately 60 to 65% of the budget. So securing a venue takes a lot. Also different than the first sit-down dinner event that I did. I wanted to approach it from the perspective of being more hands-on than hiring out for a lot of the components to be done. But in that, all the individual purchases of all the incidental and the planned things, it started to add up. And while you're in it, it's hard to write budget for that in advance. So these things are happening incidentally. And by the time I tallied them all up, there were significant expenditures that I just could not foresee, or just maybe was not enough in the details to understand you're gonna need to go get this. I didn't realize that there, for the first time, would be an insurance cost, taking over someone else's restaurant, having to purchase an insurance policy on the fly, right? So there were some things operating in a different space capacity that were first-time expenditures because they were first-time experiences.
Why do you say 73%?
I'm sorry?
Why did you tell us 73%?
Of the capacity?
Yeah, why did you tell us that?
Because I told you that to demonstrate growth from ticket sales from the previous
Okay,
event.
how many people represent 73%?
25 people.
You know what you just did to yourself?
What?
You remember last time I talked last week that you
Anchor.
if you tell yourself these stories over and over, you're selling yourself these stories, you will get your brain to a point that it starts to live in the 73% world as opposed to 25 people world.
Mm-hmm.
See, 73%.
You got to set that has to hit. That's real.
73% is an amplified term. You say 73, I went from 40% to 73%, and you don't give me a number. If you went from 5 people to 25 people, I'd be like, ooh, 73%.
Right.
No one sees 73% as 25 people.
Right.
And you should neither.
Right.
But it was only slated for 30.
Don't matter.
Okay.
If I run an event and I only had 25 people come through, and you like most of the people I didn't even know, that's not even, the sample size is so small, you gave me nothing. If I'm looking at sample sizes for data, to analyze data to help support you, so you gave me exaggerated data, but it's not about me you gave that to yourself. Mm-hmm. So that means that, so now when you're at the table, somebody's like, you should do it again, you're like, at least I had 73% last time. You don't say, I only had 25 people. What the fuck I'm tripping on?
Good catch. Good catch.
Okay, can I ask you a question? And it's not refuting, right? But it's a genuine question.
I love that.
With the spaces I currently have access to, and with the newness of the brand I'm trying to establish around this, I'm not prepared to speak to large audiences. So I'm intentionally capping these events for intimate size groups, right? Mm-hmm. So that the percentage, I didn't think I was anchoring it because the number is what they are. You had 30 seats, you sold this many, this is the percentage that's left, because I'm intentionally keeping it small.
But there's no reason to use the word 73% with 25 people. It's just nothing there. If you was trying to sell to 1,000 people, 100 people, 500 people, you said 70%, that makes people who are investors go, oh, okay, let's look at what that means is for. you gave me information I can't use. I don't know what to do. 17% has no value on the table. True. So when you say it and it has no value, then why do you keep saying it? It's similar to like when somebody goes, "How your business doing?" You're like, "I'm doing cool." No, you're doing bad, right? If I look at your bank account says you're dying. But in your brain, you can easily say, "I'm doing cool," right? And it's like, I'm doing cool. And then you start moving with, you don't have the urgency, you don't have the fear, you're not moving with that. I need to jump on top of this project. I need to focus because like you at a club the night before a project because you think you're doing cool when really you're doing bad. And last night you should have been studying, right? So it's a subtlety, but it's a mental distortion that you're creating. That if you buy into this idea of the word 73%, you will move differently. Number two,
Yes. Good catch.
Okay, so let me give you a compliment though. For a person who doesn't like feedback, your response was the best response ever. The way you framed that was supremely excellent. So hopefully those at home and people in here saw the way she says, "Hey, I'm not trying to combat, but I do need to present. I want to present this information." That makes me totally like be sympathetic towards you, right? Because if you came at me kind of crazy, I have asshole in my blood. So okay, but here's the other thing too. No one cares about this capping game you just said. That doesn't, I don't know what that means. Oh, I feel discomfort, so I cap at this. The other. First of all,
that's more ego.
That's your ego. That was your ego. That's an ego comment. When we teach these things in class, we try to show you the translation of the things we're teaching in class. Mm-hmm. It's not because I'm really focused on you, because you're not showing abnormality. You're being very normal right now. Mm-hmm. But when you said, "Hey, I'm not really ready for this," and and then 3 chefs called me about 25 people, you see how you're kind of stretching it out a little bit? You're making it feel different, as opposed to, "I only did 25 people. I can't believe 3 people called me for this shit."
Here's an example. If we switch seats, I'm in the clothing game, and you said, "Hey, so what was your sales look like last month and this month?" And I said, I grew 100% in sales over last month." "Oh, really? Okay." That could have been 1 sale last month and 2 this month. It's 100%.
Sounds great though.
But if I use the 100% thing, I will get locked into that dream world of 100% versus you need to have another business. You need to try something else.
Yes. Let me ask this final question.
No, we ain't done with you. You can't say when.
Great.
I am done, and y'all better be done too.
She said, "Final" in the mic.
I'm watching a couple of people who I have started to follow their progression in similar spaces. Right?
Where are you watching them from?
One of them I heard speak on a panel at a summit that I attended earlier this year. And one of them I just became aware of through social media and started to watch a little bit more closely what he was doing.
No.
I see your sign. No. They're not following me. I just happen to see.
No, that's just real.
None of it's
Remember,
real.
all you see online, and when people, okay, so let me help you. So, because I'm gonna help you. So it's not, no one's lying to you. It's what the brain does. So I'm gonna show you this for you.
Mm-hmm.
Probability laws. These are probability rules. Like I told you, the scaling thing, I love it. It's so counterintuitive. So the rule of probability says you can have a horrible business idea. And if enough people implement this idea, at least 2 or 3 will be successful. So like if you have 10,000 people do a horrible idea, at least 2 or 3 people will achieve success. Mm-hmm. But the success is based on pure luck. It ain't even has to do with skills. It's pure luck. Now, a reporter runs up into that person's face and says, "How did you just achieve this level of success?" The brain doesn't go, "I don't know, I'm fucking lucky. This is a lottery. I'm just a lottery, bitches. I'm making money." No, that's not what you say, right? What you say instantly is this. You'll say, "Well, because when I was raised by my mother, she taught me a certain amount of discipline, and in the South, we believe in these ideas. Then when I came here, I studied this particular book, and then because I get up every morning at 4 o'clock in the morning and I meditate and I do these things, my success is attributed to this." It's called the hindsight bias you can't even see happening because your brain does it invisible to you. and you really start to try to look back on your past and find meaning and value and points that you think you really control when you had no control, because once again, it was all luck. You didn't control the lottery, just like you didn't control your career, right? This is the rules of probability. So when you watch a guy online, this is the problem with a guy conversation. I watch this guy online. He might be one of the 10,000 who's working a badass idea, who had a lot of lucky opportunities come to you, and they finally put a microphone and say, hey, we want you to speak on this panel. And guess what he's gonna do? Hindsight, distortion, lies. Hindsight, distortion, lie, and hindsight, distortion, lie, and a little bit of delusion, right? Then you watch another person through social media who's trying to blow up, and they're probably getting more likes on social media to get money from that source, as they advise you towards this bad idea that everybody wants to do because it's, why do people want to do events most time? It's a status raise. You get a raise in your status. So he knows he's going to get a large crowd going, I want to get your status, so I'm going to do a YouTube page. If I get 300, 400,000, that's a check. So as my check coming through, I'm telling you, this is what I did, this is what you need to do. But here's the thing with do, and this is something that I think is so important in this class. This game ain't about that, people. Doing is not this game. If you don't understand context, have you ever decided to do a home project and work on something at your house, and it came time to tighten a bolt or the screw in a Phillips screw? I'm cleaning the link because you know Josh back there. He's the Paul's number 2. So, and Shakina and Shamara, I got a lot of people attacking me around. I got to watch out for these people. So anyway, I got to frame everything correctly. Anyway, so you see, you're talking shit. So the point is this, and so. Have you ever been working on something and did you know what the torque was? Like it just like IKEA thing, did you know what the torque was? How far you should torque it or not? Not torque it for some of y'all at home. Because some of y'all are like, oh, I know what to do. No, I didn't ask you to do that. Sit your ass down. Torque, okay, torque. Do you know at what point to torque something? I mean, you understand how to use a screwdriver, you understand how to use Phillips, but you end up over torquing and then you end up breaking this object. Right? That was the story. It was perfect. You get it home and one of the legs is a little loose now, or you strip the screw in a certain place, or mess the Phillips screw, or a little wooden piece and snapped, or something happened, right? Meaning even though you get the information, this is a screwdriver, this is a pair of pliers, this is a bolt, this is a Phillips screw. In your brain, what you do is you assume, because I heard that, oh, I can do it. Not realizing without context, you still don't know what the fuck you're doing. So until you go work with that person, sit in the space with that person, see that person at the end of the night, watch those numbers come through, watch somebody transaction, watch money happen. At some point you get that private time, we start saying, look at the spreadsheet, you realize, oh shit, I didn't know you had to pay for all this shit. Until you see all that, all you watch was entertainment.
Yeah, it's not real. Here's a food for thought too. Have all the people that have followers for teaching stuff, showing people how to do stuff, giving game, being leaders, have you noticed that most of them are all super attractive? Did you? So
Y'all seen me before, right?
So did God just give the smartest people? He made them attractive, huh? They just happen to be all the brilliant genius billionaire millionaires. They just happen to be good looking, huh? At the same time, there's no ugly smart people. There's no ugly successful people. It's because we forget social media is an illusion, and our biases, we lean towards people we're attracted to. It just naturally happens. We lean toward. So this good-looking dude who's giving you this game, he just happens to have his cut-off shirt showing his muscles, and he got his Muslim thing around his head, right? But he just happens to be in these poses where he's showing his guns. Just happens to be the brightest, most intellectual guy. There's no not good-looking dudes that have the same knowledge. No, they don't have 30 million followers. No, same with the females. So that's how you know that this is a rigged illusion game. Because my mentors, the people that I rock with, the millionaires that taught me, they don't look like that.
They ain't on social media.
They ain't even on social media. No. So, a couple questions from the audience, and then we can wrap it up. Go ahead.
So I had 3 questions, if that's okay. my first question was, if you're capping your events to small numbers, what is your expectation on your profit?
That's a good question, Shakina. I don't know that I have an answer to that because as I do these, it becomes apparent to me that the ticketed event is, at best, you will break even.
Removing reality, like let's say you were to say, this is what I would feel numerically, not feeling, but if I made this much at this event, like, because I think that that's important contextual information. Like, if I want to take home 50,000 to have a successful event, and you only want to take home 5, it's going to be a different conversation. So, what is your value of your time for an event? Like, what would you consider to be a successful event if your cap is 30 people? What's your expectations?
Honestly speaking, because it's so new at this point, and this is really for me the play period to get acclimated to the space and to really understand what value, if any, I bring to it, I just don't want to be in the red. I know this is not a money draw. I'm not looking to get rich off of it. Thank God I'm able to sustain myself outside of it, but I do not want to be in the red after.
Real quick, Kaja got money, man.
What you say?
Kaja, okay. Kaja's not hungry. If she's hungry, this
It'll be a
conversation
different conversation.
It's different.
Woo!
Most entrepreneurs, we get like
After the first event.
Man, you realize that the next fall is spikes, right? You ain't falling to no mattress. You ain't falling on no couch. You falling on spikes. So we're like, hey, I ain't fucking playing. I'm trying to eat. Kaja's eating caviar while she's having this. That's how her lifestyle. Like, don't get it twisted. Kaja is not a broke chick, right? She ain't no broke ass. She been in my old school conversation, right? So what I'm suggesting is that what you're seeing from Kaja is she doesn't feel the consequences of her actions. That's all it is.
Right. So Kaja, here's the thing. After event number 1, like yes, you're gauging and playing, but this is you going after it. You're trying to build something, not because you need the money. You know why? What's most important? Time, attention, or money? Time.
Ooh.
So you put together how many events? 5? 6?
5.
5. So you put 5 events together, and you still are kind of like playing, right? In entrepreneur world, that's not playing. Event number 1, okay, let me learn from this. Let me get better. Event number 2, yeah, we're playing, but like by event number 5, it's getting serious because you spent a lot of time planning this. So, like you said, I looked because I'm kind of confused, but like, oh shit, I gotta take the entrepreneur hat off. Like you have a money source. Because if you lost $5,000 in the first event, oh, shit, that's an arrow that just got shot in my stomach, and now it's like, oh shit, I'm bleeding, and I'm about to do it 4 more times without no post-mortem figuring out what we gonna do different. Nope. It'll take you time 100 by the time with that kind of energy.
I'm like the Black Santa Claus. You'll never find me. So,
That's why I'm starting to feel like I don't want to do it anymore. But like you set this thing up.
To feel.
I set this thing up. It got good reception because the general public can't see the number, right? So it got good reception. So now you got people on the hook. What you mean you don't want to do it anymore?
Fuck it.
What you mean?
You don't owe nobody nothing.
Did you just say you had a good?
You didn't.
You had no good events.
You didn't.
None.
No, not monetarily.
No, okay. So you're not talking entrepreneur talk. Now you're talking nonprofit talk. Like you're talking that like this should be a Red Cross class. No, in entrepreneurship, if you're not making a profit, okay. Let me show you how emotional this shit can get. You ever seen Tennille's daughters?
Yeah.
Aren't they some beautiful children?
Mm-hmm.
And her husband's funny as hell. Long story one day. Right? And they about to have a holiday coming up. November come around, Fight Team Media needs to have that check ready. We don't get to say, we made a lot of people happy this week, Tennille, but I can't pay you. No. And Tennille's, she treats me like her true brother. You want to see that get disrupted? Right? So, and don't think that little gangster who learned how to put on regular clothing ain't a gangster back there, right? My argument is this, and I ain't lying about her being a gangster. Youngsters, fuck with her, see what happened. But what is this? But here's the thing: that me and Court have staff that have real lives that we got to make sure that their life is taken care of. We got kids that we got to take care of. We don't get to say at the end of the day, we had a good event and everybody starves. We had a horrible time. Yes. Now we were selling shit in our garage trying to get some money to give her some motherfucking money to take care of her kids. Now my Harley's gone and I had a good event.
What?
I'm never doing an event like that again. I'm never
swinging at the air.
Never. I am the black Santa Claus. Where's he at? He ain't coming.
Man.
He ain't never coming.
Man. That's the energy. That's the energy.
How do you quantify that it was a good event?
Can we go back to slide 2? Let's go back to slide 2. Give you some context. No. Slide 2. There you go. You still don't get it?
I do.
It's all about fucking numbers.
Everything.
Numbers.
Everything.
Numbers.
Like
that's the thing. There's a difference between social currency and real currency.
Yep.
We confuse them a lot of times. In entrepreneurship talk, when we say something was good, that must mean you made some money and
Yes.
some profit. If you say something was good and you didn't make no money and didn't make no profit, you're over in the social currency side, and we don't take social currency. We sell that shit. Got me? All right. Last one, and then we got to move on.
All right, check. Yeah, okay. Actually, I'm very curious. I wanted to ask you. I know you're not focused on like big venues, but I want to know for the venue that you had, like, what was the cap of actually the number of people that can be in that setting at one time without the fire people coming to shut you down?
The restaurant would have accommodated a max 33 people.
Okay.
33 people. So to keep it to an even number, and so that we could do proper planning around the food costs and tablescaping and all those things, we kept it at 30.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, I'm gonna say something that's gonna seem kind of weird. Once she said how much money she made, y'all should have became like, y'all should start playing video games. I'm not even exaggerating this. Like, because right now we just beat, like, I'm not beating her up. First of all, Kaja is actually all of you guys. And number 2, Kaja is the first person to articulate what's happened to a lot of people in this class who had money. Kaja's giving us descriptions that she should be sitting up here teaching today. Because there's people in this class who've made horrible decisions because the spikes were in their back. You know what I'm talking about, right? And what she did for you guys is, if she was sitting in front of an investor, he had been walked out there. He would tell her that, well, thank you very much, getting up a long time ago. Because first he's going to ask her about her numbers. And then if the numbers start to make sense, now I want to hear the stories. But you don't never put the stories in front of the numbers. Mm-hmm. The problem with some of us, we're used to putting the stories in front of the numbers, and then we wonder why people don't give a fuck about your story anymore, because your stories don't have numbers attached to it. Mm-hmm. So if you put the numbers first, now you're talking the language of the wolves. And we all going, oh, okay, I hear you. But because Kaja has numbers, that's why it's easier for her to leverage stories more. But it's the curse of her performance, because she's performed at high levels in her life, because she's a successful black woman sitting in front of us who's used, actually, because of her level of wealth, she's able to explore and play with things and try different things out and test certain type of things. And she's here in this class for 2.5 years to really learn how to do this. So she's actually speaking from a space of privilege. But some of you don't have privilege like she has, but you still have the distortion of a paycheck. And so it's really when you have to learn to turn your ears off and not care about what she could have done differently. Like if she says 30 people was an end number, okay, I'm not gonna say, well, what kind of chairs did you bring in? I don't give a fuck. What kind of food did you have? I don't give a fuck. Where was it at? I don't give a fuck. You know why? Because you're not talking my language. It's like me sitting there. You ever went to a room and you have two Valley girls gossiping? Which one y'all give a fuck? Because I don't. Right? This is what it sounds like to me if no numbers attached to it. It's like two Valley girls going, and I went, and girl, and whatever the fuck they say, however they speak. And what point is this? And so what I'm arguing is that your brain should almost turn everything back down, go, okay, we back at zero again. Everything she said is just a story. That's all it is. It's a subjective story. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just a story. Now, what you should learn from is the delusion and how delusion can take the most brilliant one of you. Because Kaja is one of the smartest people in this motherfucking room. Don't get it twisted. If you ever sit with Kaja afterwards, well, there's a few people that are brilliant, but I'm saying, but the thing is that when you sit with Kaja, the conversation she carries, she's a heavy hitter. Mm-hmm. But it hit any of us. Mm-hmm. It hit any of us.
And I want you guys to know this point is this truth stuff is so deep. Yes. The difference between the two is so strong. Kaja knew she was coming here. So, and she watched it happen with you, which means she had a leg up in terms of how to come, what to answer. So, and even though she still had a week to prepare mentally for this, we still got to crack open the differences between her subjective reality, her ideas, her stories, and the truth. You can't run from this shit. If you're in that space, you can be here. You can have 2 weeks to prepare, and all you got to do is just get to talking. On over time, it's going the subjectiveness is going to come out. The emotions are going to lock into it, and then the game starts. So thank you.
And don't. I don't want this. Okay, let me say this. All of you do the Kaja. What Kaja just did. All you guys going to do it, and this is why you need close people in your feedback circle. Because if she took this story to, say, Javon, who's new at business, but he's in business classes, he gonna be like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. Mm. He won't know to say, what does 73% mean? Right? Mm-hmm. And so she can get a whole large group of people like, yo, girl, and then like you said, Instagram people send you a message like, yo, we heard about that shit you did with 25 people. You killing the game. I mean, once you put it in that language, you see the distortion. But they didn't say it like that. What they said was, yo, we heard about that event. You're killing the game. Left the 25 people out. And your brain says, yeah, I did do 73%. Now it's starting to feel, so now you have these moments where you're like, I'm conflicted, Nana, because I really feel good and I don't feel good. It was successful and it wasn't successful. No, it was never successful. It was not, It was never successful. And the thing is that as these things, even though there's a probability rule that says, I don't think what it is. It's if you're playing football and I hit you and I knock you down, you forget about that it also damaged me too. So when you tell a story, it's also causing damage to you. Here's a third thing. The reason you can't see yourself the same way you see somebody else is because of the emotional surge you go through. This is why emotional intelligence that we teach is so important. You can reach a certain emotional level that it blurs you from seeing yourself so much you can't. You can't. I don't care how smart you are, Harvard, I don't care where you come from, you can't see yourself. So if you don't know yourself and know that you're in a heightened emotional space, whether it's fear, excitement, hope, whatever the fuck it is, and you realize, yo, I'm compromised. I can't think right now.
There's a word.
Right?
There's the word.
That's should be your word. But I'm compromised. If you don't know you compromised, you'll start dancing in that space, and all you're doing is building a sand castle. You're not building a real castle. So you compromise.
1 year I did my taxes, Courtsmith. Forget what year it was. Busted my ass that year. I was cracking. We had events. Events was packed. The kids was running around. You know, I love the kids, so I'm emotional with the kids and pictures with the kids. Courtsmith pitch. And I had 2 or 3 events. Shot commercials. Did my taxes. Took a loss. I start crying like a baby. Fair. Start fucking crying. Because I'm like, I worked so hard.
It's the same thing.
Because your brain, you bubbling and people coming up to you and like, yeah, you the shit. Oh man, I see Court Smith everywhere. And I'm like, you do? That shit is dope. So in my brain, I'm adding more money in my bank account than was actually happening.
Same thing, bro.
And then when the truth came out and I'm looking at what the fuck? No, we got to do this shit again. No, ain't no doing it again. Here's all 12 of your bank statements, unless you got a hidden bank somewhere. This is it. Like,
and everybody said your shit was successful though.
And everybody around you, and you got to be like, nah, it wasn't. It wasn't. We took on NBA players, 10 of them, and that's like now I can't talk about Court Smith now. Everybody wants to talk about the 10 NBA players. When I looked at the revenue, they were in third place. I was telling my guy, I don't want to do it no more. Fuck them. What? But no, it brings us, it's a attention starter. People, the brand is big. Like, the perception of the brand is big. I don't give a fuck. The amount of work we put in versus our return, I don't give a shit. So unless we can come up with a better business model to make more money, fuck these dudes.
I mean, think about imagine a white party. When you guys have been to the white party before in Oakland? At the Preservation Park? Imagine 2 blocks full of a sea of black people, no fights, and wall-to-wall black people. There's no place to stand, almost. And when it's all said and done, you done worked hella hard. You done watched more bodies walk. You done walked, so many people walked through the door. You forgot who walked through the door. And they say, here's your $2,000 after you've been doing this for 3 months. 3 months. You done deprived your child. You done messed up relationships. You done fucked up your health. You ain't been to the gym consistently. You got a pot belly with an elastic belt on there to keep the stomach in, to wear that famous suit. And all you walk home with 2 G's in the Bay Area. So for you Southern folks who watch this class, $2,000 in Bay Area is like $200 maybe for where you from.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. Like his mentor, it may not mean that you don't do it no more. But if you know the truth, you can be like, this ain't working. I got to come up with a different model. I got to shuffle this around. Let's take this out. I don't care. No, stop. I don't want to hear that. It didn't work. So like, let's try it another way. Not like, let's do it again and see if more happens. Let's do it again and see. No, like it's scramble time. It's model change time. So, thank you, Kaja. Everybody give Kaja a round of applause. That's it. Let's it. We'll talk about this Boys in the Hood next week. We don't got time, so let's get into Nana's lesson. We need more time. I need more time. I need more time.
Hey,
sorry.
I'm over here.
It's gonna be worth it. Sorry.
We're not gonna teach. Hey, this shit is class. Hey, you know what?
She started.
Yeah, she started. You see, that's what I'm saying. That's how it happens every time. All right, look.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
Okay, let's. God damn it. Hey, no one following you. Let's. That was really good. Okay, let's jump into this part 2.
Online said, thank you, Kasha.
Yeah, real. No, honestly, y'all, her vulnerability, if you can run to vulnerability, you can run to growth. Those of you who delay vulnerability are delaying your own growth. Kaja has a moment in her brain she can stamp as reality right now, and she can make adjustments. But if Kaja sat in the back of this room and just continued to nod, like I'm doing big shit, but didn't put herself out there, think about how long she could continue to spend money on a bad idea. It's very easy for all of us, especially when you are a person that believes in right versus wrong, and you think that you're trying to prove that your idea is right, and it's costing you money. So if you're a person that argues right versus wrong a lot, you're in danger of holding on to ideas too fucking long because you're trying to prove that they're right. All right, next slide. Let's do it. Everybody good? Let's get down.
We
Next slide. Wait a minute, that's not
Back.
No. You was a little precise around. Go back. Go.
There you go.
There you go. That's somehow you. I don't know how that happened. I just don't know how it happened. Shout out to Josh. All right, I'm gonna go over some basics real quick. This is an easy one, but this is one that I think is such a huge confusion for everybody. This is a business question. This is business. When somebody says you are a marketing company that sells a commodity, we talked about that your business is not about your commodity, you're a marketing company. A lot of people think marketing is the middle one, promotion. You think it's sponsorship, advertisement, public relations, activities, message, and media. Who wanted to say massage? But message and media, right? Yet, marketing is these 5 Ps, and in many cases can even go further. But let's go over these real quick, right? Shibishi, you want to just read them real quick, and then we just kind of go through them?
Left to right is good.
Yeah, sorry, left
Okay.
to right. Yeah.
So for product, it is functionality, appearance, your warranties, the quality of the product, your packaging.
So real quick, how does your product work in the world that when people handle your product? Whether it's placing the makeup, whether it's a electrical tool, whatever it is. If it's clothing, when they put the clothing on, how many times do they wash it before it falls apart? How many times they usually wear your particular outfit, right? You kind of have to take it through a life cycle, right? A virtual life cycle. Even I would suggest mail yourself your product. Like send yourself, when it comes to UPS, is it damaged, right? Like send it through different mail services, right? Appearances, when it arrives, when they open a box, what is the experience somebody's going to receive? When they take it home, what does it look like if it's set overnight? If they wash it, what will the material look like once they wash the shirt? If it's makeup, what will the makeup look like after 3 or 4 hours, right? Warranty, meaning if the customer reaches out to get their money back, do they have to start a fight? Right? Or do they have to have excuses and stories or whatsoever? Like I told you, there's companies I know right now, I love their company because if you don't like it, you'd be like, I don't like it. And you don't even have to wrap the shit up, just take it to FedEx and show them the QR code, and they put it in a bag and send it back to the customer, back to the company, right? And then packaging, how's it packaged? The package sometimes can be just as important as the actual product within it, because the package shapes perception. Go to the next one.
So for price, your selling price, the discounts you offer, payment arrangements, price matching services, credit terms.
I can make this really simple after the price. So selling price, let me say this, it doesn't mean a discounted price. Sometimes you raise the price to increase the perception of value. Sometimes you decrease the price to be in a world where the commodity and the focus of commodity based upon your ability to cut costs on the back end, right? Discounts, how do you run your discounts? There's some companies, there's a company that I like their brand, but they never had discounts. And I was like, fuck you. You ain't that serious, right? So sometimes that discount is almost like an emotional dance with your customer, right? But then the next 3 is, and then product price matching services. Meaning that if you're selling the similar product, say you open up like a company where we all selling oranges, and you say, well, everybody else is selling oranges for $2. Why are you selling yours for $17? Right? You gotta be able to. You got to understand the value of the market and where the prices are in the market. But the other one is, can people pay for your shit? Give people options to pay for your shit. If it's just like, if you ever meet somebody that like, yo, I only take cash. That's not marketing.
That's so frustrating, by the way.
That's horrible, right? In marketing, if you have a website, I got to call you and then cash app you and to get your product. If you don't get your ass on some kind of credit services, right? The reality is that you have to give your customer, if I struggle, if I create friction to buy your product and I go to court and I just hit a button and this product is on its way, and then let's say I hit the button, I filled the information one time. Why am I filling out this information again? Why didn't they remember me? Why do I have to keep going, Anana Coventi, I'm at this address, and then 2-day shipping, damn. Right? So that's marketing, by the way, people. That's not, okay, so we read the middle. We already read the middle. Go to the next one, place.
So place is your distribution channels, your logistics, your service levels, your location, your market coverage.
So let's say you produce a product and you're trying to get it to different locations. You got to think about who is going to handle production, where your distribution center is, to smoothing out how fast customers can actually receive your products. If you only have a place located in Oakland, you're fucking over. You're telling the East Coast, I'm not really fucking with you like that, right? So where you locate your business, even if you open a store or business, right? If you open your spot on, let's say you're in Oakland and it's on Foothill and Fairfax, bad idea. Bad idea. Because now your customers can't park their car in peace, right? That's marketing, people. These are all, when I say you're a marketing company, you're thinking about all of these things at all the time and making critical decisions. These are not just happenstance things. You have to own all these decisions. Meaning, if I walk into your company and says, why did you put your place here? Why did you choose this channel of distribution? What is your logistics and how is it designed to get to your customer? What is your service level and what service level system are you using? What is the market? What market do you cover? What's the coverage of market? How you position yourself in the market, right? Like, what's your position in the market so you can have the best access to your customers? If you tell me, I just moved here because I kind of liked the place because I think it was kind of cool, and like my cousin used to sell shit here, and like since I'm from Oakland, I feel like I want to bring this part of the city back. Okay, are we doing business? Or are you trying to, like, go make your money and then build you a nonprofit over here?
Hey, a lot of times in talking to entrepreneurs, I ask, who are your customers? And they say, everybody.
Never.
There's never no such thing as everybody.
That means nobody.
Sorry. That was a trigger.
Yeah.
It means nobody. Because you have to be distinctly clear about who you're targeting and pick a group because you can't cover everybody.
Not even all black people. No such thing. No such thing. I used to hear this back in the days. People used to come in with new businesses and say, my first 5 years of 5T Media, oh, but I'm multicultural. I don't want to just focus on black people. What the fuck you just want to focus on? There's no such thing as I don't want to focus on, so I want to be for everybody. That means you can't use a bad idea to produce another bad idea. And sometimes two good ideas produce another bad idea. And so, that's another philosophy and stuff. But the reality is that you have to make a decision that feels like discrimination. You have to discriminate in the market. This is why, if somebody ever asks you, when should you discriminate? Business. You have to discriminate in business. You have to say, I'm making this product for you, not you. You know why? Let's say, okay, Shakina and Kaja, let's just make them absolutely different people. Let's assume absolute differences. So I'm really trying to get Shakina to buy my product. But I'm asking Kaja what she thinks. She's gonna move me so far away from Shakina, it's gonna be ridiculous, and she doesn't give a fuck about my product. So now I had a great product that could have taken off, but I kept listening to the wrong people. As opposed to saying, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not really here for you. Don't really care what you think. Shakina, let me again, will this make you happy? Because when Shakina buys my product, she needs to feel special. And the special that I'm trying to make her feel, you're taking it away by me adjusting to you. So I gotta be able to see who I'm selling this product to because I gotta satisfy her need to satisfy her status and her value and her sense of feeling special.
Yo, we have a campaign right now, Fangs Out campaign. Our target market is 12 to 17-year-old boys. But we're only using the boys whose coaches use Smith uniforms as our models. So we get hit up now constantly by random kids like, can I be a part? Can I be a part? You don't wear Smith. Sorry, you don't wear Smith. Talk to your coach. Talk to your coach. So now it's going to create coaches wanting to do business, and it creates a separation of the kids who are in. They feel like, oh shit, I feel special. This is dope. So you want to create a separate. That's why you can't be for everybody. You want to create. If you supported us, you bought product from us, or your team, your coaches wear our uniforms, we're your family, and everybody else ain't. And you don't get to be a part of what we're doing, and you got to create that separation.
Okay, 1 second.
So speaking on this, like I recently, I recently found this prompt that basically, like, if I describe exactly the people that I'm trying to reach, I fed it to ChatGPT, and then I basically followed up with saying, give me like 2 of the 5 personas of like the people that I'm trying to reach with this marketing demographic that I'm trying to get based off my music. And I fed it all my ideals, what I wanted, like people I'm trying to reach, people who've been like from my Spotify data, age range and stuff like that. But now that I have this persona, what am I supposed to do with this information? I'm just like, okay, this is great. Marcus is 28 years old. He lives in Los Angeles. He does this, blah, blah, blah. But what am I supposed to do with that information?
Okay, you're getting too you got too technical. You got so technical you went away from people. You should see the people somewhere in your circle or within reach. If you don't see those people circle and reach, you identify these are people. Number two, the value, you should be able to put a value offer and those people say, huh. Mm-hmm. If you put a value offer and then anybody, you're like, hey, I got a value offer, everybody's like, you don't have a value offer. It sucks, right? And it could be a tweak. It could be a small, I'm talking about move the dot. And all of a sudden it's like, whoa, that's hot, right? It's that subtle, right? But getting it right and figuring out who that is, you use your local circle first to launch you into a bigger market. This is why I tell people all the time, this is where the black thing comes in. Black people will put you in the game because a lot of times they will help you polish your product to get it for big time, right? But when you try to skip your local circle who's designed to train you and get your product right, you're creating this distortion of, I'm going to have this idea, I'm going to arrive, and then somehow these make-believe people are going to celebrate me. They're not. They don't give a fuck about you. They got people, what's that phrase at? No one's following you, bro. Okay, damn, I lost. Okay, there you go. So I promise you, this is my favorite phrase of the week, of the month, or maybe the year. So the reality is that you start with your local market, which helps you polish your product, improve your product, and help you start to think about these other 5 categories. Then it prompts you to then go to that event and know how to properly present yourself. So the friend I was talking about, he's going to Sacramento to sell a product. And that product, I said, when you get there, say to yourself, I don't give a fuck how good your product is to you. I don't give a fuck how good your product has been to your local market. Walk into this place and say, I got to prove myself to these people. I got to win these people over. And then audit yourself from that space. Don't ever walk into a space assuming you automatically have some value. You have zero value. No one is following you. No one gives a fuck about you, right? And so if you start from that space there, then you take nothing for granted. You may even, you may put like priming products up in your booth. You may do all these cool things. You realize, I got to fight for my life, right? Then I told him, I said, look, how many you think you sell? He says, 120. I said, now, take about 150 to 200. So I said, gamble on yourself. That's all you're going to do anyway. You're gambling. And if you don't sell those 30 or 40 or 50, try, like at the end of the event, blow them down to $1. Get them at cost, whatever. But the key thing is push yourself and bet on yourself, right? But the key thing is when you go there, because you know now you want to try to get to 200, that means you want to turn your marketing game up. You serious now. Like this is game time. You sit up the night before, like, I gotta go to bed because I got a big ass plan. But if you go in there with this, I'm gonna go to this 120, they waiting on me, you're gonna take so many things for granted. You're gonna be sloppy in your presentation, your packaging, your delivery. You don't think about your customer service, you don't think about your booth layout, you don't think about none of that shit because you think it's gonna kind of work, right? It's like you're gonna start moving like Kaja with money. You know Kaja events is nice as hell, but it's the same thing, it's entitlement. It's just a different form of entitlement. So move from a space of, nobody's fucking with me. No one's following me. And I believe this product is tight because I tested with my local market. Now I got to go to this new market and prove it to them because here's the reality of trajectory of any product. At some point, you should not know most of your customers. 99.9% of your customers, you will never know.
Also, too, is that's giving you, that's, you can't let technology let you off the hook. Because eventually, at some point, it's still human to human. So you still need to be able to observe and analyze humans for yourself, or else everybody will be millionaires and billionaires off that shit. So that's just them trying to figure out technology, but that ain't no quick way for you to find out who your customers are. Your customers come from when you see spikes in certain things in your products that you sell. Oh, okay, why is this turning like this and then there's just this? What is this? Who bought? And then you have to be obsessed with those customers. ChatGPT can be obsessed for you. So what you do is, like when I'm in a gym with all my customers, I'm Rain Manning on what all the kids are wearing. What shoes are they wearing? What socks are they wearing? How they wearing their socks? How they wearing their sweats? What t-shirts are they wearing? What headphones? They just changed. They don't use AirPods no more. They use these airless head things now. Like I'm analyzing what girls do they like? Every single thing. You know why? Because then we can put that in our advertising. The music that they're listening to in their headphones before games, now that's going to be in our commercial ads. The color patterns that they're wearing, now that's going to be in the color palette that we're using. Like that's how you analyze the data. Fuck that technology shit, because they can't get. I mean, technology has some value, but they can't. Yes, it's data, but you have to be obsessed with that customer, because Andrew or whatever ain't real. But the person who really listened to your music, you got to find him and be like, why'd you listen? What made you listen 14 times? What is it? And ask the question, realistically, how many is it out there really of you? If it's only like 36 in the United States, that ain't it, bro. If it's like 36 million, you might have some.
If it's 1 million, you killing the game.
Yeah.
If it's in the Bay Area, it's 10,000. Oh my God.
True.
Yeah, you're gonna walk with different tennis shoes. Did the internet power just go out?
Oh, that's weird.
You okay on power?
I'm good.
Okay, well,
Huh.
let's see if that pops back up.
The computer's also on.
Huh?
The computer's on. It says searching for sources right now. Let's see
It might be the system rebooting. Okay, well, let's give it a second. It says no signal. CPU.
Hold on one second.
Okay, you know how to fix it. We have Josh. Amanda sit next to Oh, okay, we got remote controls too. Okay, we fancy now. I remember back in the days we didn't have nothing. We just had to see you down the street, carry paperwork.
You got my privilege, trust me.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we're using Josh privilege. Okay, so the other one is
People.
people. Okay, well, you got online. You got the online flashing white people.
I can see it online.
They can see it online.
Okay, see online. Okay, let's just keep rolling while you get set up.
So
in-house.
people is service provided, attitude, customer service, appearance, employee portrayal.
So know one thing about all of these particular lines that we're mentioning, they can be highly intense. So service provided, right? These are things you work on. Marketing is something that you just don't do. You don't create it. You're constantly improving and working on all of these 5 categories and all these subcategories. So service provided. You sit down and you have to think about, how are you showing up to the customer? How are you serving the customer? What's the attitude how are your staff framing customers? So for example, one of the things I changed this year is my staff was showing too much entitlement. They were saying, we know we're good. And they would talk from this undertone of, we know we're good. And what I had to do with my staff is say, hey, we're serving customers. Turn that shit the fuck down. And when a customer walks out that door, we're in pure service mode. None of this. You're working with a celebrity photographer. You're working with a celebrity videographer. You're working with a celebrity designer, right? So we had to kill off all that. Attitude. The team's attitude. That's the culture. A lot of shit you learn in class, it shapes the attitude that also reflects on the customer. I remember I went to a Chinese restaurant, one of my favorite Chinese restaurants in Burlingame. I think it's called Man Must Walk. I think something Must Walk. And food is superior. I'm talking about superior. Anybody that's been there with me, they'll tell you that Chinese food is cold, but fresh, superior tasting food. So I said, man, and I'm talking to the cat who owns it, and he's Chinese. I'm like, yo, man, what the fuck is up with this Chinese, the way Chinese treat you when you go to a restaurant? And this is his response. He says, it's really not about you. The supervisor treats them like shit, so they treat the customers like shit. Mm. And so he goes, they even treat me like shit. I hate going to these restaurants, right? And so you got to think about the way you show up every day. This is what I used to tell Shakina. When you become a leader, you are seen different than the way you see yourself. And your subtleties now are loud. When your subtleties used to be quiet, they're now loud. And so if you're not self-aware and know thyself, you could be in a situation where you're in the office every day, destroying the mood of your office, totally unaware of that. And then your customers receive bad customer service because you're totally unaware of yourself, even though other people are translating this experience between you and the customer. So when you're a leader, if you're not managing the way you show up and your behavior, it may translate to your customers getting a shitty experience by your staff and your employees. I get that? So it is not as simple as to say, oh, I trained them. It's like, like with kids, do what I say, don't do what I do. No, they don't do what you do. And so how you show up, if you someday have attitudes, someday you're going to have attitudes with customers. If you walk in there and say, hey, I love my customers, your staff will love the customers. If you say, you see, that's why I don't fuck with these kind of people over here, and these kind of people, and these kind of people, these kind of people, your staff would then try to use their elementary version of these people, these people, these people, and those categories are going to be all over the place. You guys get that?
I went to this little cafe spot on Grand, Farley's East, if you guys have been there. Hopefully, I don't think nobody in here works there. But it was maybe 15 minutes before they were getting ready to close. And we just wanted to get like quick little something. I was going to get a chai tea and like a little something. It was 3 o'clock. I think they closed kind of early down there. And the guy was doing his thing. And I said, oh, we just wanted to come in and get a couple of things. Somebody wanted a quick coffee. It was real quick. We was going to be in and out. And I said, can we still order? I know you guys are going to close soon, but we just wanted to get some real quick. And he went, I guess that'll be fine. Okay. Well, you guys don't close for another 15 minutes. But he literally he went, I guess that'll be fine. Still people sitting in there. It's still people sitting in the cafe, and I understand he wants them to leave, he wants them to go. But the way in those last 15 minutes that he was like, get the fuck out.
Basically.
Well, his leadership the leadership has framed that, right? You've been in first. Okay, what's the fast food spot everybody go to for chicken that has amazing customer
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A don't play that shit.
No.
The leadership starts from the top and it works its way through the system to say, yo, if this cat's changing his tire and he ordered the food, if one of you guys are free, go help him change that fucking tire. Right? That's how Chick-fil-A, they really roll that far. They go that far. They don't play with it. Because they understand they're in a competitive game. And look, if y'all ever had Chick-fil-A, it ain't that goddamn good. Maybe y'all ain't never had a good chicken sandwich before. It ain't that goddamn good. But they understand they have a system.
Kasha like it is to me.
It's pretty good.
Now, if you had baked cell Betty's, if you eat baked cell Betty's and go Chick-fil-A, you'd be like, what is this, right? But the reality is that their service game is so cold and their whole business game is so cold. Shakira went to a restaurant the other day and she walks in and there's a sign that says, please forgive our employees because we're going through an employee shortage as the rest of the nation. Please be patient with them. They're doing the best they can. That old simp ass note, she put like simp, that's my area for the young peoples, right? But that old simp ass note translates to, so Shakira walks to the employee and says, how you doing? He going, I'm doing okay. I'm doing the best I can.
Oh my
right?
God.
The cold part, she had a thing that says your order will be ready at something 35. She says, oh, excuse me, is my order ready? Oh, I haven't even started it yet.
Oh.
That note, his behavior, clear. So their attitude, the service provided, the customer service, the customer experience, what the customer is experiencing when they sit in your spot, this is another reason why you can't be busy in your business. Do you get a chance to sit with customers and watch them purchase your shit and experience your shit? Do you get a chance just to observe it and just watch it? Like that's one thing that I think Rain Free, the thing I love the most about what she does, if you ever go to a Rain Free event and she's there, she's gonna be sitting in the quiet ass corner watching everything everybody's doing and walking around just looking. She ain't gonna say nothing to nobody. She's in deep observation because she wants to see how is this whole experience feel. How do I go from serving people? Because you don't even say, what I give you, what you receive are two different things. Mm-hmm. You gotta get on the receiving side of what you give to really see the full side of your business.
I want to add this too. It includes everybody that surrounds your business, not just customers. Because the treatment you get in your business is reciprocal. So whenever the UPS, DHL come deliver packages, you know what we say? Hey, you want some water? You want anything? Most of the time, like, no, I'm good. But damn, thank you for asking. You know why? Because there's gonna be one time where our package is fucked up, lost, and it already came back to us. Hey, I tried to deliver this, you was closed, so I just held it on my truck and brought it back to you. Damn, thank you. It's from all the, do you want some waters? And how's your days? And hope and have a good day. Have a good rest of the day. Now, like you said, it's not about being nice. It's not about you. It's about our process.
Hey, speaking of transportation, real quick.
Go ahead.
So Josh and I were at a streaming gig earlier for GSC. GSC is the largest land renter of the Port of Oakland. They're the largest company in the Port of Oakland. They just bought another company that's the largest transportation company in Seattle. Wow. And the president of GSC was like, because they were asking, are you going to do any more acquisitions? He was like, if their culture doesn't match our culture and our family values, we don't give a fuck. We're not gonna acquire them. We only want to work with companies that are culturally aligned to how we serve our customers and how we deal with business. We don't care how much money they make.
So what he just brought up is hell tight. If you take out a contract that attacks your employees, dump it, even if it's a lot of money. Because if your employees take enough hits, the trauma you will take your employees through will alter their customer service forever. So we had a client the other day. He was social justice, bitchy, everything you can think of. And I told my employer, I said, yo, if you don't want this contract, tell me. Because this contract is not worth damaging your relationship and your experience and your perception of your job environment. So you have to protect your employees to protect the culture that provides an excellent service that makes you a lot of money. You can't protect the money over your employees. So I had one lady just back in the days, she started cussing at Mashama. I told her, don't you ever come to my office again. And I know Mashama, he was explaining something and she started using some vulgar language. And I was like, and she's a very popular person in Oakland. And when she sees me, what's up, dude? I'm like, she said, I'm gonna come to my office. I was like, no, I told you, don't bring your ass to my office. I'm not bullshitting. That's inappropriate because I protect my team, right? And if somebody cusses at my team or uses inappropriate language, and like he said, I have friends who say, man, 5T Media, y'all have a way of doing things. It's a 5T Media culture. Our meetings are not just deliverables and directives. Our meeting is also philosophical, where I'm spreading these ideas. Do you realize that online, a lot of 5T Media is in class? Because at the end of the day, it's a mindset that we have, that we come together as a team. And because all of us are imperfect, but we take a whole bunch of imperfect people, including me, to produce a perfect product. And it's the collaboration of our imperfections that make perfect outcomes. Not nobody special on our team. All of us are special, but we also special by how we buy into this core idea. So you got to really drive this cultural thing. Appearance, how do people dress? How do people look? Do they fit the look of the product you're trying to sell? Don't put a skinny person in a barbecue spot. It may not translate, right? Like you're in a barbecue spot and the dude's kind of chubby, cooking some barbecue. You'd be like, "Ooh, this will be some good barbecue," right? But you put somebody that looked at anorexic, you'd be like, "Do you think I know what they're doing?" That potato salad better be yellow. It better be yellow. If it's white, I'm not fucking with them, right? And then and then last, employee portrayal, right? Which is how does this is because it's two ways you look at. Okay, if you look at this from the actual definition, it's really about union and representative. But if you look from marketing, it's how do people think about 5T Media employees? So they see 5T Media employees in public. How do you come off? This is why when basketball players, I never understand when they're like, I don't understand why they get mad at me. I was just doing this. Because you're part of my marketing scheme. How you carry yourself at all time, it impacts the brand. It's simple as that. Next slide. I'm trying to get to these. I'm moving. The other day, I'm talking to a university professor, and a major university professor. No, not professor. President. And I was told by the president that if you can't show me how this is going to make me some money, I don't want to talk all this abstract shit. You ever been in a blue collar or work job and everybody's like, if you can't see it, it ain't real? They kind of imply that. They don't say it directly, but they make some example like, you hear it in barbershops, like, all they have to do is, and the abstract is not part of the conversation. Most people, especially people who are not wealthy and have never scaled anything to a large side, we overvalue vivid. What I can see is what it is. If I can't see it, I ain't got time for this hocus pocus shit you're talking. Stop getting all deep now. Just, what is it? Is it this or this? Give me the steps. What move should I make? No, all this ego's the enemy. My bank account empty. I get some money now. I don't even know, how do I get this back? Right? You value vivid over abstract. Okay. Let me teach you the opposite language from slavery, because slavery is the vivid over abstract. I don't give a fuck how much money you make at your job. You're just a high-paid slave. I don't give a fuck what race you are. You could be white, Latino, Asian. They, a high-paid slave. So damn, now that's fucked up. All right, let me help you out. Shakina opens up her gym. She has one customer, one employee. Sees them every day, asks them questions. Vivid works. I came in, you had an attitude, you didn't have an attitude. I watched you, saw what you did. Good job, no good, not good job. Got basic metrics here, straightforward. What's so hard about that? Customer comes in, you enjoyed this workout? Yes. She smiled, I smiled, cool. She sent the money, it went to my account, we good. This is why you will be a small business until you die. Can you see 100 employees now? Can you see 1,000 customers? You can't. All you have is abstract. Because nothing's vivid to you anymore. You can't feel 100 customers. Can you feel 1,000 employees? Can you see 10,000 customers? You can't. What if people at nighttime are just clicking on buttons buying your shit and you never seen one of them a day of your life? You using vivid management systems? They don't work. You don't see anybody. So business is an act of, is more heavier towards the abstract than it is towards the vivid. Because as you grow, you won't see half of the things that will drive your decision. Let me keep it going even further than that. Because you practice vivid 80% of the time and abstract 20%. So you might say, when you say, I love her, I love him, that was abstract. What the fuck is that? And you can turn it into some vivid shit. Little shorty running around the house now. You can turn some vivid shit. You actually pay for a wedding that cost you $60,000 with your broke ass. That's going back to legacy now. My point is this. Because you don't practice abstract thinking, you are abstract elementary. Do you realize there are principles? Your rational logic is based upon vivid thinking, not abstract thinking. Abstract has different realms and different dimensions of rationality that doesn't even align with everyday conversations. If I taught you the economy of scale, it would make no sense to you. It's too big for you to even imagine. But when you see it happen, you're like, wow. If I taught you certain mental models, you can't see them. If you don't know them, they're invisible. And there's hundreds of them. If I taught you distortions, fallacies, biases, thousands, can you see them? Absolutely not at all. Are they affecting your money? 100%. But yet you run around reinforcing vivid thinking and don't see the value on abstract thinking. Let me help you out with abstract again. Who can predict what's going to happen in the next 20 to 100 days? Anybody can predict the next 20 to 100 days with accuracy at all? Except Josh. Josh is Jewish. Somehow that works. But anybody else, right? Okay. So guess what? Even when you think about the future, you're using abstract tools. And yet you're using these elementary, vivid tools to try to imagine something very abstract. You're trying to manage 10 people, 20 people, bigger bank account, growth, all these different very complexities using very vivid type of thinking. This is why most black businesses never, ever, ever grow to be. When you see a high rise, that's something that went through a whole bunch of abstractions to get there.
Can I throw one in?
Go ahead.
In the 1800s in New York, they had hired the best thinkers, the smartest thinkers of that time to say, I need you guys to predict, it was the 1800s. They said, I need you to predict the next 100 years. How are we going to deal with transportation? In the 1800s, they were riding horses. So they said, we got a big problem. In 100 years, since our population is growing so much, we're going to be overrun by horse shit because it's going to be too many horses on the road. Not realizing that 100 years, there's going to be cars. So vivid thinking is 1 + 1 = 2. But abstract thinking, it takes a whole different turn.
Whole different. There's so many formulas of thought that you have to learn to really do this business shit for real. Okay, so first of all, let's go back to the Kaja effect. And mind you, Kaja, I love you because I need that cake. But the point is this. so I want y'all, because y'all think I'm going to ever piss off Kaja, you got another thing coming. I will fight for Kaja. But the point is this. So, hey, if y'all taste that cake at home, I swear y'all see how serious this shit's real though. Okay, so let's say when Kaja was talking earlier, right? She was using vivid examples to you guys. Oh, I had a good event. People said it was successful. That felt vivid. That's real to her, right? I finally ate. People came I never saw before. Chefs are calling me, right? My responses was abstract. I don't know what the fuck that means. I don't care about the vivid as much. I'm looking at the abstractions of that principle wasn't followed, that principle wasn't followed, this principle was not there. I don't see how that's going to scale. I don't see no valuable there. That's the difference there. When you have vivid, you over leverage the past. You'll say, this has been my experience. So because this is my experience, I'm now doing this. Let me show you the flaw. Correlation versus causation. When you examine your past, a lot of this examination is correlations. It's not causations. Because you're signing, this is why this happened, even though there's 20 different things that could have caused it. You sign this, you prioritize A, B, and C. But if you understand my form of thinking, I say, I can't use your past to predict the future. Because I got to gain clarity. Did you really own the past? You say, what do you mean did you own the past? When this happened, how much knowledge do you have of this particular subject? I don't. Then how you know that's why that happened? Well, I think it's because irrelevant. Go back and own that. Otherwise, you're not qualified to make the decision to go forward. Now, you would never know that's the way you should audit yourself, because when you vivid, all you need to know is I had this vivid experience. I did this. It stopped. I'm gonna keep doing this, and I'm done with it. Don't ask me nothing else. That's what I'm gonna do. When really, what you should be saying is, I had this experience. What are all the possible ways? What are all the possible causations? And why did this situation work? Or was it lucky? And is this a sustainable solution? Right? Meaning I have these abstract rules of how to examine something that says, even when something simple, 1 + 1 = 2 happens, I'm like, well, how do we know that's really a 1? And why is it not necessarily a plus and a minus? And if we get to a 2, can we actually handle 2? You see how my brain will tear it apart because I know these abstract rules of how to look at a scenario unfold in front of me. So what separates me from a lot of people who are new in business is you guys are over-leveraged towards vivid and you don't understand the value of abstract. So when I tell you, read an abstract book or you hear these abstract ideas about probability and all these rules, you're like, oh, this shit getting deep. Just tell me what to do, shit. This is why you can't do it. I can tell you 100 times, look, just put these screws here and here. And why do you keep fucking up? Because you don't know the abstract rules of that. This metal, when it hits this type of wood, this is what's going to happen. And if you torque it at this certain portion, this is going to cause this kind of damage. So no matter what you do, set your torque at this number based upon the material that you're working with. You don't know those rules. All you know is, I got a screwdriver. I've seen people do it before. I think I can do it myself. There's so many hidden principles. My nephew does as a contractor. He knows goddamn well it ain't about swinging a hammer and hitting a nail with accuracy. He knows there's hella rules that he can build a house and look absolutely beautiful until somebody move in. And that shit will fall apart at a rapid rate because he didn't follow the hidden rules that are invisible to all the eyes who are viewing the house. You guys get how important this abstract shit we be teaching you? Okay, when somebody tells you, work on a business plan, let's use some of the most retarded, simplistic shit that people teach. I call it retarded, and if it's inappropriate for you, then I'm not talking to your stupid ass. Okay, so let's say they teach you this dumbass idea of business plan. This shit is just straight, you gotta do a business plan. But why? If you don't own the why, you're just following a blind ass pace to produce a blind ass output because you don't understand the abstract reasonings behind what the fuck you doing. Matter of fact, you don't know when to ball the fucking business plan up and start a new one because you think just by writing it up, that's good enough. You don't realize even how does planning work in an abstract world, in a world of uncertainty based upon probability. How does planning work, and how much do you leverage planning, and when do you abandon planning, and how do you need to show up to the moment over the plan? Like, how do you leverage time, the past, the present, and the future, which is all abstract, right? But if you're in this vivid world, you keep using vivid examples to explain what you went through, not realizing that you don't really understand what the fuck you've been through because you're stuck in correlations. Let's say you go somewhere and you have an amazing experience. You know what my brain says? When you say, no, I had an amazing experience, and this is why you should. You know what my brain always said to you? Fuck your experience. You said, damn, this dude is just fucking mean. No, because I know all the things that shape the human experience and how the brain works around experiences, and your experience is so subjective that I need to have more sample data before I even decide to spend a dime of my time, my attention, or my money on that subject, unless I already have that interest on my own. But I don't take that instant emotional sales from anybody because I understand based upon the rules of abstract, you didn't tell me nothing. Now, this really means a lot to you. It's my story, it's my truth. I would never lie to you. I know you'll never lie to me, but the brain tells, but because I know these principles of how the brain works, you can mean everything you meant. You're just distorted and going through a delusion. So now you want me to listen to your assumptions and your delusions and then say, you want me then to leverage my life, my time, my attention, my money on your delusions and your stories and your distortions and your assumptions that are all hidden to you in your most innocent desire to share with me. And then when the shit goes back in hindsight, you be like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see all that. I don't need to have that story. I don't need to lose all my time and money and attention making dumbass mistakes over and over and over because I see the abstract shit that's playing out. You guys get where I'm going with this shit? How cold abstract and why abstract shit is more important than vivid shit and how our culture is so vivid. We're so leveraged towards the vivid side. But what Martin Luther King said, why did he say it? Right. Fuck what he said. Why did he say it? And when he said it, what was going on in society and why did it work and will it work today? If you can't break all that shit down, then fuck what he said. It don't mean shit to me. You know, we're original Africans. What does that mean and where are we going with this? If you say that shit and you can't give me any use of that shit, all you're doing is creating another distortion in my life. This shit is way more the vivid versus abstract. We're so vivid heavy. I could tell you a story about what Martin Luther King and this lady died, and then this happened, and black people out here dying to vote, and you never say, does voting need to make any fucking sense? What is the black vote? How many of you guys have went, so I told you legislation over the individual, right? So a lot of these laws they pass are very serious laws, especially some of these local laws. Because a municipal fucks with your life more than federal. When last time you went to a municipal class for black people to unite our vote so we all understand what the fuck we was voting for? Dum, 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 dum. Okay, I'm gonna just say you so fucking time. There you go. Thank you, baby. So, the reality, so when they say black vote, it means black marketed idea that sold you this idea that's a black vote because somebody just manipulated all of us. But what happens is when I tell you, why the fuck you vote for that? Because black people died and it's our privilege to die. Shut your vivid, go back to the abstract. What the fuck you saying to me? You guys get where I'm going with this like abstract logic? And now mind you, I've just used simple rationale. If we move into certain business systems and certain scaling ideas, there's no rationale y'all understand that fits this shit. I'll give you a simple one. Let's use economy of scale principle. When you build something economy of scale, every time you double it. So let's say you consume 100. Say you consume 50 items to run your business. So if you double your business, rationale says you should consume 100 items. You actually go down to 75, or 80. In some cases, if it's city, 85. Every time you double, you reduce the amount of resources you use to run your business. Meaning that the larger you grow, the more efficient you are, the more efficient the use of resources, which then allows you to be in a situation where, as you grow, the reason it's hard for a small business to compete with a larger business because they can do a lot more efficiently. And so if you try to match them at a lower scale, it would cost you so much more money because you're so inefficient because you're so small. So a lot of times, one of the disadvantages that you may have is small. Now you have advantages, but based upon the economy scale, your cost goes down with your growth, right? Which doesn't make any sense. Oops. Biology says the same rule. Biology says the bigger the animal, the longer it lives. The bigger the animal, the more efficient it is in the use of cells. Why? Because the body has to become highly efficient. Okay, the larger the animal, the body becomes so efficient in the use of blood, nutrients, oxygen, food, what's the other thing? Your metabolism, right? It becomes so efficient at that stuff that the bigger you are, it slows down the usage. So then that means it slows down the damage to the cells. That means you live longer. So a blue whale can live 125 years, where a human being really is supposed to live about 35 to 40 years. And a mouse only lives 2 to 3 years, right? So those same rules apply in biology, applies in business, it applies in social systems, it applies in city. Meaning, no matter who the fuck cell role you play in a larger society, the system's still going to play out a certain kind of way because your instinct as an animal will force you to fall into order. You don't get to move out of order because you're a human being. Your brain is designed to do 2 things: keep you alive and have sex, to reproduce. Some of y'all just took the sex part. It's like, I told you. No, I didn't say that.
Hey, I'll take that. I'm gonna take that and run with it.
I heard you.
Everybody,
You said it.
I'm gonna create my OnlyFans first. No, but what I'm arguing is this. Just like the capillary veins grow to every portion of your body to deliver nutrients, oxygen, and intelligence, a road has to go to every portion of the city where people live. And wherever those capillary veins don't go to, you will see a deterioration in the muscle of the body. If a road doesn't go to a certain area where people want to live, you will see deterioration in that particular area of the city. The same rules of biology applies to business, right? So when you learn biology rules, it's called it's a term for it. It's not precise science. So when you learn psychology, you learn biology. It's called cross-grain. Cross-grain is a principle that says if you learn a concept in psychology, biology, or humans, it is accurate within 80%. But if you learn science in physiology, it's accurate to 100%. So when you learn these psychology things in class, don't go home and project with assumption of 100%. Because human beings and organic things shift and have variances. And because of those variances, even when you learn these principles and these rules you learn in this class, even about marketing and business, it works within a range of 80 to 90%, not 100%. But in that 80, 90%, you can analyze the group. Now, when you get to the individual, you can't answer the question. Too many variables. Now, that make no sense to y'all, right? It doesn't fit any logic. Like, y'all should be struggling. I did it on purpose. Should be struggling a little bit. Why are you struggling a little bit? Because your logic won't work. When you get to a certain level, the logic you think every day won't work. The common sense, it doesn't work no more. The shit don't fit. So that's why if you don't practice abstract thinking, you don't need to be smart at it right away. You'll grow. It's something you have to grow into. Don't go home and try to read a book about all these mental models and principles and think tomorrow I'm going to have this shit. You got to start practicing that way of thinking. Then you start to see this vivid as the vivid side.
You know who's good at abstract thinking? Little children. 5, 6, 7-year-old kids, 4, 5, 6, because they don't have a locked in view of the world that you have. So they don't even know what 1 is yet to know that +1 equals 2. They don't know a plus. So if you say 1 + 1 = 2, well, they're going to analyze every aspect of it, even the plus. Who invented the plus sign? What? I don't know. And once when one not shortcut, but a hack is to, man, be like a little kid. When you start asking questions like a little kid, it'll open up more doors for you in terms of how to think aside from just what you are given.
Here's a fun one. Add fun to this. Let's say there's a principle you believe in. If you can't tell me when that principle cannot work, the opposite side of that principle, then you're practicing a form of religion. You're not thinking anymore. Anything you believe in, if you can say, okay, I believe in this, and this is when I don't believe, you shouldn't believe in this. If you can't tell me that, you don't own what you believe in. You don't. You don't. This is shit that once you practice abstract thinking, it's a whole bunch. So when I'm moving through the world, I'm looking at it through an abstract lens, and I don't see what most people see. So the reason I pause a lot of my responses is because I'm like, that's not necessary. Oh, no. Okay, but don't hurt this person's feelings because they don't mean no harm. They ain't trying to hurt you, but shit they said just some crazy shit, but they mean good. It ain't gonna fix your pocket. So fuck it, just smile. I hear you. That's cool. Okay, I didn't see that. Oh, that's nice, man. All right, bro, see you later, bro. That's tight what you told me. Because at the end of the day, he or she doesn't need to be perfect because life is about growth. And what I see, if I tell them the truth, may stunt their growth. So when I speak and what I should speak about, I got to temper and decide what makes sense because sometimes trying to make things right is actually producing a whole bunch of flaws and it's protecting my own personal flaws. So sitting back and going, will this affect me? Okay, no. All right, cool. Because at some point I believe that butterflies were real. I mean, excuse me, fairies were real and Santa Claus was coming. Right when I was like a really small kid because that money, tooth come out. What? I can't wait till another tooth come out. Get older, you realize, okay, thanks, Mom, I got you. But now, should you go to the kid and be like, man, ain't no motherfucking Santa Claus, ain't no fucking fairies, and shut your little sorry crying ass up, right? No, you don't do that. Why? Because they just need to have that at that stage of their brain development.
Exactly.
So when you're in business and you guys are developing, it's not up to me to come and be like, fuck your little Santa Claus. That's what you believe. Like when Kaja first told me about her idea, I could have hit her hard with, Kaja, let's go through these numbers. Would she have heard me? Maybe not. Now that she lost money, she's like, okay, my ears got cleared. What's up? What you say? That's how it works. I mean, you might not realize, but I don't know if you ever spoke to somebody when they're in passion.
You can't get through.
You can't get through. So you got to let them have the experience. So she just spent $5,000 on a course of don't do that shit again. And if you do it, these are the rules you need to follow. She's now wiser now. She went to school for 5. Y'all go to some classes and take for money, and you some of y'all ain't too much smarter still. But Kaja's smarter now. In business, you're going to make a lot of mistakes to make yourself smarter, and it's my job to let you have that mistake. If I continue to intervene, you're going to push me further away. Kaja would stop coming to class, that fucking Nana.
No cake for you, cuz.
Man, hey, I'd be at the door right now with flowers, with the big old eyes. I'm sorry.
It was my Tourette's.
Okay, all right, let me see if I can get you 2 more slides. I'm going home. Next slide. Keep going. Branding. How many of you guys hear branding? Who knows 100% what branding is? Not put your goddamn hand. I know you smart. Everybody else, that's what she does for a living. I know what it is. You ready for no? Because you're gonna get a great definition. Good. Because it's a term you guys hear all the fucking time, and I know people don't know what the fuck it is. And it's thrown away so much it's bastardized. It's the definition has been expanded. Let me keep it really simple. You know how you build a personality in the community, and then if you, let's say you heard somebody talking about you, and they said, oh, Javon is this. He's known for this. You know he gets down like this. You probably don't want to fuck with him about that. But this is who he is, right? Branding is turning your products to a person where their personality is in the market. So when people say, man, I need to go to a gym, you know who's really known for good training? Now, in theory, in abstract thinking, she can't be the only person great for training. but she branded herself so strong, your brain takes her as your first choice because, matter of fact, you start saying training. You start saying, man, I need to get my pinpoint part of my life together. What you mean your pinpoint? It starts to become you start to exchange the word training for the word pinpoint itself. I need to get me some. Man, I need to go get some that Black Girl Magic, or that's it, right? Black Girl, I'm about to get some of that Black Girl Magic. For this weekend. Oh, which one are you getting? See what happened?
Mm-hmm.
You tell stories and you create stories around your product that to your point that your product is a personality in households. So when people think about engaging that part of their need, your product comes up first. So you turn your product into a human experience. That's why you tell stories, you position it, you do all these other things. Go to the next slide real quick. Here's the basic the 3 C's of branding. You got to have clarity around your product. What kind of fucking clarity? Like some of us, I remember there was a student in this class, I used to ask them all the time, what are you trying to provide? And when they would finish, I say, I don't know what the fuck you just said. And the words you just used, I know all those words, but when I put them together, I still know what the fuck you just said. There was no clarity. So whatever you're selling or whatever you're providing, it has to be able to be it has to be able to be told to a child. They'd be like, oh, this is what you do. If it has to be layers to complexity and I got to pull out a fucking calculator to finish your sentence to understand what the fuck you just said to me and then sit home and then burn some sage and drink some wine and just to process that shit and go for a jog and probably go, Eureka, I get it now. You have a horrible branding system. Remember we talked about consistency last week? If you don't show up all the time, you don't exist. If you look at the boys who play this game y'all see how consistent Coke is?
Mm-hmm. Which one?
I'm talking about Coke. You understand me? Okay.
They both consistent.
Yeah, they are both consistent. But Coca-Cola, right? Y'all see how Coca-Cola gets okay.
Listen.
But stop.
That was clarity.
That was clarity, right? Yeah. He does have brand though. Coca-Cola. Right, Coca-Cola, when you see Coca-Cola brand, right, they are aggressively showing up at the same places all the time.
Yeah.
At one point, in the early stages, they used to be on the side of every liquor store in certain cities. They got it so locked down, they had it locked down with the politicians. If you put anything in the city that gives away sodas, it's our soda or this is the consequence. They did not play. You can't. If you decide tomorrow to make your own brand of Coca-Cola t-shirt, lawyers will be at your door within a day. The consistency of how they show up, how they get down, how they position, where the logo, the color red, that red doesn't change. Meaning that if you drive down the street and you see that red, you're like, oh, that must be Coca-Cola. Meaning I can flash my product by you this fast, you'd be like, oh, is that Coca-Cola? Mm-hmm. Because consistency rewards you with that. So wherever you're going to show, this is what bothers me when I see people doing advertisement for branding purposes. They run an ad and they get tired of looking at it. They think the public's tired of looking at it. You tired of looking at it. You're going to have to get tired about 10 to 20 to 100,000 more times. Man, it's going to keep running over and over and over. Do you know some of the most popular branded ads of all time ran for 10 and 25 years? Mm-hmm. Where's the Beef? I think it was like 25 years or some shit. Mm-hmm. That's an old one. Look it up. It's on
Just
YouTube.
Do It.
Yeah. Just Do It ran for hella years. Right? The reality is that when you're running a brand, it's this idea of whatever story you're telling, you still don't keep changing the story. Don't keep changing the location. Don't make yourself. So yeah, the guy stepped on my foot, and I knocked him out. Next one, the guy stepped on my foot, and I shot the whole block. I didn't give a shit. Next one, the guy stepped on my foot, and I started World War III. No, the guy stepped on your foot, and you sat there and you said, "Excuse me, sir," and keep that story to change. I don't give a shit. That story has to stay the same. As you tell a story around your product, and you keep that same story, even if let's say you put pictures, you put your product in pictures, the pictures have to always tell the similar story. You can't be like, ooh, that's a cool picture. Ooh, that's a cool picture. Ooh, that's a cool picture. Ooh, I like this idea. It has to kind of reinforce the same story in the same ecosystem. So when I see a picture, I'll be like, oh yeah, that gotta be a Coca-Cola commercial coming on. Or I gotta be a Coca-Cola picture. Before I even see the brand, I can see the type of picture. It's like, only Coca-Cola would say a story like that. Right? Last one. Constancy. Constancy. You don't get to change shit. Once you put it out there, it has to be constant. 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 Don't keep flipping because you're creative. In the name of this great the scholar that met the other scholar, fuck your creativity. Right? Your creativity has to stay within the realm of this brand you created. Once you keep branching off into all these different expressions of your brand and it's pulling you further to these different edges, I don't know what your brand is anymore. Because remember, you're in a world where there's not only the competition that's in front of you, not only competition is in the game when you started, but the competition is coming up behind you. And you got to battle all three layers as a three-dimensional war you're in. And two of those dimensions you don't even see. You really can't see the one in front of you. You might see the one next to you because you know them. You really can't see what's coming up behind you because you don't even know they don't exist yet. And when you decide to keep varying, your competition can take advantage of your variations. Go ahead.
Okay. Hello. So you said that if you don't show up all the time, you don't exist. And then that made me go back to your little favorite saying of tonight of you don't have followers. And then my brain was just like flashing red, like, okay, wait, but if you have to consistently show up and like the whole thing of like, we don't have followers, but like we have to show up to people in order to even exist within people's realms. How does that apply to this conversation?
Yeah, let me make it really simple. Okay, a couple of things. First of all, online marketing by itself is not enough, especially in the local market. Two, what's the nature of the personality? When you show up to these spaces, how are you showing up based upon how they show up, right? So let's say if I'm going online for status and then you showing up to distract what I'm trying to do, fuck what you talking about, next, right? Third thing is, what are you giving me if you're gonna show up in my space of comfort? If you're not giving me something that's based upon where my need is. So for example, during COVID, if you showed up and say, hey, I know y'all at home, but let me give y'all something. And I care about you. Perfect. But let's say we're in good time. All the gyms, discount, things popping off. Hey, I want to give y'all something. Y'all be like, man, I ain't got time for that shit. I'm out. You don't have the same value no more. Being constant is, where should I position myself now in the city? Where should I position myself in the market? Who should I partner with? Who should I be cool with? Who should I say? So for example, let's say you're a gym, but you partner with Cheesecake Factory. Bad brand move. Bad brand move. But let's say there's a movement coming to the city that some type of health conscious movement, and you say, hey, let me partner with you. I even put some money on this to support. I'm gonna show up, provide these. Okay, you position yourself as you branding yourself. So now when I think about their brand, I think about you, it's helping me understand who the fuck you are. Right? It's like, let's make it simple. Let's make it branding simple. How you go out the house every day? Okay, let's say you think you're a cool ass person, but sometimes you have an attitude. Based upon what I constantly experience from you, that's what you are to me. I don't give a fuck what you think you are, right? Who you hang out reinforces who I think you are. How you dress reinforces who I think you are. Where you position yourself in conversations tells me a lot about who you are. Your product is going through that same cycle.
I need a bomb. I need a bomb or some shit. That's real. Your brand is not what you say you are. Your brand is what the market says you are.
And you're always positioning and fighting for that position. And so go back to 2 slides, Josh. Big player, Josh. One more. That abstract shit. Branding is really abstract. It's not vivid thinking. So you're looking at abstract behavior of humans, abstract rhythms of culture, abstract patterns, abstract timing, positions. You're literally looking at it's almost like, imagine you're in a war game and you're looking at the chessboard and you're looking at your city or your Bay Area, right? You're like, how do I position myself in the Bay Area to get the best return in my position and brand, to the point that when you think about training, you come to the Bay Area, I'm the person you come to.
I was listening in on a sales call with Jordan. I was just in the room. And so a lady came from one of our competitors. And so I'm just listening to the conversation. So he says, so how'd you hear about us? And she said, well, my boss tried to get in contact with you guys, but nobody called her back. It's a big order. I'm thinking, fuck. My system's broken somewhere to where she feels that that's her experience. And that's not even how we get down. Like we think we're very responsive. You know what I'm saying? But for her to say that, how many other people saying that? How many other people had that experience? Is that the consensus or was that a one-off? I need to know. Because I got to change that perception if that's true. So it is actually what people say it is, and it has to be up to you to fight to use all your marketing and influence and manipulation tools to get people to change those ideas.
So go back to the marketing slide, the 5 Ps. It's one of the first. Back. There you go. All that's branding. That's all going to help you brand. All that helps you brand. Because you ever had somebody say, I'm doing big things, and then you go to a restaurant, they can't pay for their food? Or their car's raggedy, or you see they got a fake gold chain on, and you realize that's not your brand. Your brand now is that you care about being perceived as big, but you're not really doing big things, right? Like if you watch a person long enough, you can see if they're aligned with it. That's why you're saying, once you can align with who you are, you speak in the same space, that alignment allows you to then make necessary adjustment and position yourself the way you need to position yourself, take advantage of opportunities. What you guys don't see is that everything you're doing is reinforcing the story you're telling the public, right? I was looking at a product the other day, and I went to their website, and I was like, I don't know why you're valuable. I ain't gonna call the product out. But I was like, I looked at their website, and I was like, I see your product. I see no story. I don't see, if I get think about this. Most customers purchase stuff when they're what? Impulsive, right? Mm-hmm. It's not people they don't use that subconscious brain like, I need chicken. So when I get there, I'm going to read every label, and if these 7 variables are not there, I don't think I'm gonna buy chicken. They're in the store looking for something like, I think I want some chicken. I think I want this hot sauce. Oh, end of the year? I need to lose this weight. I'm gonna call. I'm gonna go out tonight. I'm going to this restaurant. Most of these decisions are impulsive. Mm-hmm. So you're trying to get into that impulsive space, not the deep space. That means you got to be think about a list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want to be number 1. Minimum number 2. If I'm number 10, I'm broke. How do you position yourself where every chance you can, when I think about that need and I have an impulsive space, you work every day to make sure, hey, okay. So I tell my boy the same thing. Watch this. I'll show you this code. Now watch this. Stay with me. Make it simple. So going back to my pilot today, we have a great conversation. This cat, I think he's gonna be. I honestly think he's gonna be a hell of a business person because his humility says he's brilliant as fuck. Now, if he was egotistical, I wouldn't fuck with him. But his humility, and then when I talk to him, his ability to process it, think about it, and then implement it, superb. So he says to me, I say, look, man, develop how you show up on all. This is, Tennille can reinforce this point for 5T Media. Anytime you show up, develop how you show up. I'm talking about to absolute perfection. And he said, I said, even if you go to the family barbecue or you go to a big event, show up the same way. And he laughed at me. I said, don't go to the family barbecue and put shit in saran wrap and, some foil and put it on the table. Y'all know who the fuck I am. Y'all know what's up in here. Come on now. Right? No. He said, why? I said, because everybody at that barbecue has a job, right? The holiday party's coming up, right? If you are hella professional, like, damn, this is how you get down? They're already thinking about, at the holiday party, we want to call you. Right? So now everybody at that barbecue, you just told them, you branded in your mind, you are the professional that owns this. And if you want to have this at the holiday party, you call me first. But if you came and the shit tastes good, but it was just, okay, layout, they'd be like, cool, but I'm not sure if you can handle corporate. Mm-hmm. See the difference? So that means that every time you show up, you show out. She'll tell you, if we throw anything and food is laid out, I'll be like, don't get food from this place, get it from this place. It can't be done like this. Let's be done like that. I'm talking about what should I give away? When they come in, make sure you do this. Give them that. Make sure it's positioned like this. If we have an internal party, I'm concerned about if we have it. Am I lying? If we have an internal get together, it better be laid out like this, and we better stay in these kind of places here. Why am I doing that? Because I'm setting a culture. Go back to the people. I'm setting a group. I need everybody on my team to help me drive this brand. And in order for them to drive this brand, I got to brand them. If I don't brand them, they can't brand you. You guys see where I'm going with this shit? And all branding is an abstract process of building a public reputation of saying, when I think about your product, this is who it is, this is what it means to me, this is the story attached to it, and this is why I value it. This branding shit is everything. It's the invisible system that will make money for you when you sleep. Because people are buying your shit when you're not thinking about them. You go from selling people, which is, hey man, I got water. It's the best water ever. It's the greatest water ever. To the point I bring in your brain and you're like, I need some water. Can I get some of that AVM water real quick? I'm thirsty. You don't sell anymore. Your brand is a big selling engine that's programming people's brain to say, when you want water, you call me first. Fuck everybody else. Fuck this arrow, whatever, this crystal geyser, whatever. Bye. This is how you roll it.
And yo, check this out. You can break as a marketer. If you second or third to market, you have to recognize that this is being done because there's ways that you can influence or break or change. When Under Armour came in the game, they came in the game with Under Armour. So people start calling it Under Armour. It was anti-wicking material under a football outfit. And so it took the hell on off, right? And Under Armour became the brand name versus what the actual material was. So Nike had to come up with a whole campaign to try to break it up. So they're like, so they came up with the term dry fit. Because, but by the time they came with dry fit, Under Armour was already at $1 billion. So they broke it up because now people call them dry fits. They don't call it Under Armour. But Under Armour had it is anti-wicking material.
So it is.
But for a minute, if once people turn the actual term into your brand or company name, you're gonna hit the bees because it's too late. I want that. Or back when I want a Xerox, I need to Xerox that copy. I need a Xerox of that. You know what I'm saying? Once they turn the brand into the actual action, you're in the bees. So that's why this is so important for you to find a niche and get your brand in there.
And don't, in my closure, don't put your personal brand over your business brand. It's not scalable. So they can't say, I need to work out. I need to go see Shakina. Mm-hmm. What happens when Shakina doesn't be there no more? And she has a team of 100 people. They say like, where's Shakina? Oh, she ain't here. I don't want to work out. Well, you overbranded yourself. Yeah. And it's very easy to do because if you don't feel like you're good enough and you start getting that attention in the early stages, you can lean into that so much, and you can start making, like, say you're making $300,000 a year, $500,000 a year on people coming to see you, and when it's time to convert over, you almost have to reset your brand again. So what you have to start doing immediately, once people start getting, as soon as they come in, start branding the group, the team, and you train with me, but you got to train with Court. Oh my God, Court is way better than me. I don't give a fuck if you feel you better than that person. You got to start selling that your team members are greater than you, and the organization as a team is greater than you, and then that way you can step the fuck back. And if you brand good enough, you become invisible. Meaning people forget you exist. Like when you think about big corporations, if we didn't have a modern day culture, you wouldn't know who Mark Zuckerberg was. You know Facebook. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't know Tim Cook. You know Apple. When you go to, when was the last time you been to the Apple website and saw a picture of Tim Cook? Now, mind you, he's the CEO. He took it from a $1 billion company to a multi-trillion-dollar company. But that's what happens with good branding, right? Even like when Bill Gates left Microsoft, you didn't even know. You kept thinking he's part of Bill. He's part of Microsoft. That cat been gone long. I'm out. Did y'all know what's the name from Amazon? He been gone.
Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos was like, I got paid, bitches. I'm out. Like that. It's like the Dave Chappelle. he cut up out of there, right? But in your mind, when you say Jeff Bezos, you go Amazon. You think of Amazon, and you go, oh yeah, Jeff Bezos running. Somebody else runs it. You don't even know who's running right now. But ask right now, who runs Amazon right now? Who runs Microsoft right now? See, that's what branding does. So good branding, and I promise you, It's a trap to brand yourself first, because then when it comes time to let the branding go, it's going to be almost like you're snatching your heart out your chest, because now your value is attached to your brand, and destroy your brand is almost like destroying yourself. And now what some people are doing, they just suppress their business and never let it go past this point, because they get used to that love and celebration they get from being the face of the brand. Man, you don't dump that shit as fast as possible. In closing, all businesses will die. That's just what it is. Any living system, anything that evolves will eventually die. If you understand that you're playing a game that eventually, even Court Smith is going to die at one point. Fighting me will die at some point. But do we position ourselves to live off the residue? To grow the next thing off the residue? Our brand on how we perform, this is why when I talk to people when I show up, I'm branding. If you ever saw me in public, and then nobody in this room can say, in public, I'm different. You come to my house and you hanging out with me, pretty much the same person. Now, am I really the same person? Nah. If y'all really knew me, y'all be like, boy, that cat there. Right? But why do I do that? It's because the game I don't have a job for security. I have a brand for security. And my brand will allow me to eat forever. And so when you see me, you'll never see me in the streets. I'm like, man, fuck you, boy. I don't give a shit. Oh, you know what? I would never curse people in public. I'm never going to take a position of, I hate these whatever people. I'm not going. I hate social justice, but I don't hate people. It's a different thing, right? I fucking do hate social justice. You'll never see me screaming loud in public, being disorderly in public, being immoral in public, being disrespecting somebody in public, like an old lady walking the street, like, bitch, get out the way, I gotta go. No, never see that. Even when I drive my car, I drive with respect. Because at the end of the day, I have a cohort of people who are watching me. Some I know, some I don't know. Some that are outside my imagination. They like my consistency. How I'm always showing up. So when I do decide I need to make some, for example, if tomorrow I said, damn, I need a $500,000. I can literally just go, hey, y'all, I need $500,000. And things start happening real fast because my brand is rich. That's been invested for 18 years. I didn't get it in one night. 18 years of consistency. Consistency. Now, there's been evolution, and I've evolved in that space. But no one could ever say, yo, you see me do somebody, steal for somebody, hurt somebody. She could have known me a long time. She could never say, she can tell you she's seen me. Have you ever seen me rob anybody, manipulate somebody, steal for somebody? My word is my bond. If I say I'm fucking with you, I'm fucking with you. If I go, well, yeah, I love you. You know what it is. That means I'm probably not gonna fuck with you. Now, 90% of the time, when we do that, I'd be like, I'm not fucking with you. Why would I say that? Because I'm a very consistent person. Why is my word my bond? And if I show up, I'm gonna show out. Why is that? Because I need to invest in my trust, which is just part of my brand. And trust is a pipeline that money moves through. And once you destroy that pipeline, she can't stop. Just stop, okay? Y'all are so wrong. Stop. All y'all stop. I hate everybody in this room right now except Tennille. Tennille, first time she didn't bust me out. So the point is this. Y'all so wrong. I hate y'all so beyond your imagination. So the reality is that you have to protect your reputation, your product reputation, because if you look at your reputation as food, you look at your brand as food, your metabolism your metabolism that can convert it into energy that will keep you alive.
And you don't know opportunities that you're missing because of your reputation that you didn't have. So I know it's abstract, but you got to think about this. There's a lot of opportunities that are missed because of the integrity that you don't have in the moment, or the inconsistency that you don't have in the moment. And it's like you can't quantify it because you can't add it up because you don't even know it's not happening. You just know people ain't fucking with you. Who ain't fucking with you? Well, what happened? Well, what? Everybody's smiling at your face, but they're not rocking with you. So that's why this is important.
So that branding shit, when I say this abstract thinking, this marketing, this branding thing, I kind of hit these basics. These are actually basics. This is basics. In business, if you don't get this shit right, you don't survive.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Yeah. Like Fight Team Media, do you know Fight Team Media ain't read an ad? I told the guys we didn't run an ad. We ain't read an ad in 6 or 7 years. Our branding has been making us money. Because every time we interacted with a customer, we try to knock their socks off. We try to say, hey, we're gonna give you the best experience we could possibly provide, and we're gonna analyze ourselves harsher than you ever can, right? We're gonna try to also invest in your success. So when you hire us, you're actually hiring somebody that actually cares about your end results. And how we move with integrity, if we say we're gonna deliver it, we don't miss deadlines. We've been saying that for years. Since day one of Fight Team Media, my first promise is we will never miss a deadline. Never miss a deadline. Never miss a deadline. And we only missed 2. And one of them, Michelle was like, I didn't like to do. And the other one, he's like, one time he's like, I just absolutely forgot, bro. Sorry. I was like, cool. Because we don't miss them like that. So we're at 99.8. I've never missed a deadline in 18 years. Why? Because I knew black people always miss deadlines. And that's a bad brand. I don't want that brand. And because of that contrast of people missing deadlines and people expect me to kind of come close within that space and then I knock it out the park, I'm phenomenal. I use racism to amplify my brand. Black people are going to smoke all that shit. When you get in, you're like, I've been in big white corporations numerous times. This is the most common thing I ever heard. I've never seen black people show up like this before. No, an all-black team comes in, and we come in like the military, like the army, and we'll lay shit out, land the shit, fire the shit off, come back, they be like, I've never seen this before. That's great. I love that shit. So guess what? My brand has just got seared into their brain, and now they're going, no, have y'all seen Fight Team Media? 49ers been sending me so many clients. Oh, Fight Team Media. Oh my God, these guys, Fight Team Media. Branding, reputation, how you show up, how you talk to. If I'm sitting with you in a space, I don't shuck and jive past a certain point. No, that's cool. No, that's pretty cool, man. Yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, no. I won't be like, yeah, last night I was drunk. Man, that girl had a fat one. I was like, man, but I'm married, so I could. No, I'm not never going to. Are you crazy? I don't shuck and jive to a certain point. If dude's like, man, last night I was with this girl, I'll be like, hey, man, look, hey, I know you had a good time, man, but listen, what are we working on? Not because I'm not playing superficial code switching. You know how somebody can invite you into that trauma space, and then when you agree with them, you ain't shit? Right? Mm-hmm. so I'm not going into your space with you. This shit's weird. You don't even know what to say. You can say something you think is right and is wrong for them. So what I end up doing is I'm going to stay in this space here. I'm going to also tell you sometimes things you don't want to hear to protect what you really want. Right? But my integrity is so fucking high. I'm not even willing to, like, for example, over-pleasing somebody is a bad brand. Yes, whatever you need. That's a horrible brand. Because you're not my most trusted solution. You're not trying to protect me. You're trying to protect yourself. You're trying to get this bag. And I can sense that. So how do you show your business in a way that says, you're here to make money and you're here to invest in me to achieve my success? That means if I have to tell you no because it's a bad idea for what you want to achieve, I tell you no. So there's some companies that did business with you that knew you were doing business, didn't have integrity. Bad brands. So when you grow, you're going to be looking at them some kind of way like, you know the fuck I only had 25 people and you came at me with this bullshit? Mm-hmm. You wrong as fuck. That's why I ain't fucking with you no more. Because when you do make out your fog, you'll see it. So because I know it's a fog, I have to say to you when you come to me, hey, Kaja, I don't think you should bring my photographers in. It's only 25 people. We're too expensive for that. I got this nephew over here that can shoot decent pictures. He's only going to charge you a couple $100. That's going to be cool. Go with that. Don't bring me in. So I turned down jobs when I realized it's a bad brand decision to take on this job. And the person says, yo, I really appreciate you telling me that. And guess what they become? My number one salesperson because I branded myself. See where I'm going with this? So integrity, how you show up, sticking to your word, being consistent, the 3 C's. That shit's real. That being said, listen, we won't be here next week. We'll see y'all the following week. I enjoyed it. Don't listen to anything Shamar says about me because they're all lies. Have a good night. Bye.